It is race day here in Wisconsin as the Formula College World Championship takes on the Milwaukee Mile for round number 9 of the season. Good evening, everybody. I'm your host, Cade Corbin, joined in the booth by our analyst, Wesley Shaw, and tonight's producer, Ryan Whitlock, set to bring you live flag-to-flag action from the virtual Milwaukee. Now, tonight's race is on a little bit of a different style racetrack, something that we haven't seen all season. It's still an oval. It's still going to produce some close, chaotic racing, but it's a much shorter oval, Wesley, that is just going to drive a whole lot different than these other left-turning tracks that we've seen.
Absolutely, man. It's going to be only 1.015 miles compared to our usual 1.5 mile tracks that we always see these IndyCars race. We're back here for the first time in CIL history, running about 250 laps with our fuel stops running about 60 laps out the longest with a lot of fuel saving. These cars are going to be very, very touchy here tonight, where it's only 9 degrees of banking here at the Milwaukee Mile compared to our very favorite, very hyper fast tracks like Indianapolis, running a 9.25. Here we are only running a 9.2. It's going to be a very interesting race to run here. We're going to be running these almost like a road series compared to a lot of the ovals you'll see us run here, Cade. I'm really interested to see where we're going to be doing a lot of this overtaking here compared to places like Barber and even Mugello.
Yeah, it's going to be a much more strategic race, I think, from the standpoint of setting up passes, trying to make up your track position on track methodically, rather than the drafting kind of pack racing style that we typically see when we go to an oval track here. Tire management is also going to be a factor. Of course, you're always going to have to factor in your track position, your fuel, all of the typical things that the drivers deal with behind the wheel. They're just going to be exacerbated tonight when you have to brake hard to get into the corner, but you got to get the power down on corner exit. 1 mile, it's a short oval, but you still have to maintain momentum. It's going to be a lot for these guys to manage, and like you said, these cars incredibly touchy. An incident can get kicked off in the blink of an eye. It can happen just like that, and when you're inches apart, you can see multiple guys have their nights ended very quickly.
Nights ended in D. We're going to be seeing probably a bunch of 3 to 4 wide on this very wide circuit. So we will probably see some cars get damaged and out of the race here tonight. Here's a fun fact for you about the Milwaukee Mile. It actually opened in 1876, contrary to belief, as it started as a horse track and began auto racing in 1903 before being paved over from a dirt track to an asphalt in 1904. You know that, Cade?
I did not, but definitely a lot of history at this place, and we can't wait to add to it here tonight in the Support Community Schools 250. Do want to give a shout out to them, brought on by our very own Alex Gagnon, who works with us here in the Collegiate iRacing League. Supporting community schools, which is exactly what happens when you mobilize a greater community of people to be active members and supports of youth education across the country. You can learn more at communityschools.org. So we thank them for sponsoring us for tonight's race. Hopefully it's going to be a lot of exciting action. If there's any specific drivers' teams you want to update us on, let us know in that YouTube chat feature. We'll be keeping an eye on that and keeping up with you for 250 miles at the Milwaukee Mile. We're going to go ahead and pull up our point standings here. Now, this is heading into the 8th race of the season, which means after tonight, there are just 3 more events on the schedule. This is race number 9. This here is our standings for our Yum 2 Collegiate iRacing League's College Cup Series. Brandon Schulenberger right now leading the points in that category. So we're going to get the Formula College points pulled up for you. But while we're doing that, Wesley, qualifying underway. Before we get a look at the starting lineup, are there any favorites that you think you might have for tonight's event?
Hey, to be honest, I've said it all season long. You've heard it from the first race I started commentating here. I'm going to have to give it back to Alif. He's always been such a strong driver. He's won a lot. He's been very close on a couple of them, especially with his other Ball State drivers. But besides, my obvious pick of Alif, I think I've got to give it to probably Wyatt Burton. He's been strong all season long, but he's just been narrowly edged out of a win here. I'm hoping maybe we can see him maybe either win it or come real close again. So got to give it back to Alif, man.
Yeah, interesting stories there. Alif has won 4 races this season, but all of them on the road. Does not have an oval win in his Formula College World Championship career, despite currently leading the point standings. So he is looking for a strong run tonight. Wyatt Burton also winless on the season after getting a couple last year. I like those picks, but we've seen so many underdogs win it here at the ovals. I mean, Ricky Paz, Nick Stockner, Lucas Moody. Hard to call them underdogs, but guys that you could really cheer for got their first wins in this series this season, and we definitely have the opportunity to see another story like that emerge tonight. I think it's going to be a strategic race. I'm going to honestly go with Cale Davidson. It's been a while since we've seen the Ball State driver in victory lane here, but I think tonight he's going to get his second career win on an oval in the FC Series, his first win of the season as he tries to work his way up the point standings. So we'll see how we do. I'll go with Davidson. I'll pick another BSU driver, but we'll have a quick look here at the races that are remaining on the schedule. Like we've said, this after tonight, there are actually 4 races still to go. We get a stretch of 3 road courses. Magello next week, followed by the Red Bull Ring, then Portland. Portland, fantastic racetrack, and then our final oval of the season to round out the year at Kansas Speedway. All of those sure to be exciting events. And all of those, hopefully, will have you join us here. It'll be the same YouTube channel, same exact time, 7:45 Central. That's 8:45 for you folks over there on the East Coast, and you are not going to want to miss any of these races as our championship battle still pretty close, and still a lot of points, positions, and prize money up for grabs. So, well, we do have a minute here while qualifying wraps up. We do want to give you guys an update on last week's race out at Barber Motorsports Park down here in Alabama. We do apologize for not having a broadcast, a little bit of a schedule issue, some things going on behind the scenes. But real quick, do want to give you a rundown of that race. R. Muhammad Alif won the pole, set the fastest lap, and went on to lead all but 7 laps in his 4th win of the season. Beat out Edwin and Ofre by 14 seconds. Wyatt Burton rounded out the podium. Strong run from the driver from Trine. Cale Davidson was 4th. Jake Cummings rounded out the top 5 with Keegan Cowlick, Nick Henley, myself, Stell Beasley, and our producer Ryan Whitlock, the remainder of the top 10. So 15 cars taking the green flag there, and just 6 of them winding up on the lead lap in a race that went green start to finish. It was a pretty exciting race. We want to thank our friend Ben Fiore for streaming that over on Twitch. If you'd like to check that out, you can go ahead and watch the recap of that race. So we're going to go ahead and just in a couple seconds, we'll be able to get that starting lineup for you. I think it's going to be typically about what we expect, but we'll see if it's the usual culprits at the front of the field, or if maybe somebody can surprise us here in pole qualifying. So we'll get that pulled up here on the pole. It is Wesley's pick, R. Muhammad Alif, 21077. He'll start alongside Mr. Excitement, Wyatt Burton from Trine. Back in the second row, it's Cale David from BSU and his teammate Lucas Moody in the 13 car. Back in row number 3, another BSU driver, a couple of them. That's Dylan Beatty. He starts next to Nick Henley. Back in the 7th position there, that is the 30 of Aaron Gosler, rookie from Kansas State, and Jake Cummings, the driver from Converse. And rounding out our top 10, it's Jake Dick from Ball State University and Brennan Lyman of OPSU.
And moving on back to the 11th spot, we see Nick Stockner, who's been a very strong driver all season from Clemson, with Stell Beasley from University of Delaware following in that number 12 spot. And moving into the 13th spot, we have Mr. Josh Camphor from Kansas State with Keegan Cowlick from St. Clair heading up on that 4th spot. And rounding out our grid for tonight is another St. Clair College driver. It's going to be Adrian Tubakovic, a very strong driver as well, running that 38 machine.
So that is our field for tonight. We'll have a quick look at the warm-up here as we'll have 3 minutes until the field will grid up and then take the green flag. Now looking at it, I believe this is Josh Camphor. So something that I noticed there in qualifying, a little bit different, Wesley, you alluded to it earlier, is the spread of lap times. Typically, when we see qualifying at an oval, everybody's able to hold it just about flat out all the way around. and those lap times wind up being within a couple tenths of each other. But today, you know, it was 5 or 6 tenths spread across the top dozen or so. And that just shows you right there, that exactly shows you what dirty air does. A little bit of contact there. Luckily, that'll have no bearing on anything that happens in the race. No starting position or incidents or anything like that. But that shows you just how impactful dirty air will be. But that spread in qualifying shows you just how much in the individual driver's hands it is. You've got to go out and make lap time. You've got to, like we said, get into the corner, get out of the corner. You do have one fast repair, Wesley. That may be something that these drivers are going to have to manage as well.
Absolutely. Moving this track around, you can't really take it like a, flat out like you were saying earlier. You really have to run this course almost like a road course, to be honest. So I think Mr. Muhammad Alif may be looking very strong for a win tonight, since you have to run it such as so. Another thing about these cars here, compared to the Cup Series, get unlimited sets of tires. So you can pit 20 different times and get 20 different sets all race long. And you can get about a lap per tire if you so choose, compared to the Cup Series where you only get 4 sets, something I'm very used to. I know you are as well, Cade. It's very different for us to see unlimited tire sets in these series. But here it is something that is commonplace. We kind of see him push a little wide and almost arcing that corner in through 3 and 4, as you see him drop from 6th gear all the way down to 4th, something that's very uncommon to see in oval races. You usually kind of dip down from 4th to 5th, only using 6th gear maybe for a little bit of an overtaking, especially at Indy. But holding that 6th gear seems to be a very big thing here tonight at the Milwaukee Mile, as you shift him all the way down to 4th gear. See there, hold about 170 miles an hour and still going with this very fast track, Cade. It's very flat, very open track. We may see that 4 wide, like I was saying there earlier.
Yeah, you've got a lot of lane options. It's really going to be hard to see how many of them you can use simultaneously, but you can see Wyatt Burton kind of ripping the boards. He's got the left side tires on that very last seam, pretty close to the wall. A little bit of a different line than we saw Brennan Lyman running while we were riding on board with the OPSU driver. Both of them within a tenth of a second of each other there at the top of the boards, as we see Wyatt Burton now give up a spot to Jake Cummings. Cummings flying by, now hopping on board with the driver, the 95, as he looks to the outside here, trying to see if we can work that multi-groove in. Muhammad Alif drops down pit road. Very narrow pit entrance here. You can see nearly got that right front tire on the cone, on the barrels there at the entrance to the pit. So it's going to be something else to watch as well if we do get the opportunity to make green flag stops. We saw it there, 60 laps on fuel. Drivers may want to push it a little bit shorter on tires if they're seeing a lot of wear on those Firestones. Could maybe split this race up into fifths. Some drivers might try to make it a 3-stop. But that being said, we're getting ready to grid up, and we will shortly see the green flag here in the Support Community Schools 250. Wyatt Burton tops the board in practice. Muhammad Alif, though, will start on the pole right next to that driver of the number 26. So we'll give him a minute to grid up here, and before we get going, any final expectations, Wesley? Anything else you're looking forward to here tonight? Going to be a long one.
Honestly, besides, hoping for Muhammad Alif's first oval win, I'm really hoping to see another big driver here. I'm hoping to see Nick Stockner start pushing up from that 11th spot on the grid. He was really strong. He got his first win a few weeks back. If you remember that was a very, very emotional time for the Nick Stockner. You saw a bunch of tears start streaming. You heard the emotion going on very strong in his last season here. I'm really hoping to see if he can make it back up in that podium spot, maybe get second or third with Muhammad Alif pulling that win, of course. Besides that, I think we are going to probably see a couple of wrecks, but not sure.
All right, so we are going to hop offline real quick. Going to try to fix that stream quality for you. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, everybody, to the Sport Community Schools 250 here at the Milwaukee Mile. Pacing here, getting ready to take the green flag, are Muhammad Alif, Wyatt Burton on the front row. Getting ready to start this one off. 250 laps will mean 250 miles here in Wisconsin. It's a beautiful day in the Midwest, a great day for some racing, Ball State University, Trine University on the front row, getting ready to take the green flag for round number 9. And I absolutely...
Green flag,
we
green
are
flag.
ready to race. Our Muhammad Alif is going to take the green flag, and we are racing in Milwaukee. Already 4 wide into the corner. That's Jake Cummings on the bottom, going to try to get 2 for 1 on a couple of the Ball State cars, but Nick Henley carries momentum around the outside lane, and they're able to get single file as they hit the stripe. That drops Dylan Beatty back to the 7th spot. Henley up inside the top 5 early in this one. Now he's looking at the bumper of his teammate, Cale Davidson.
I see him start filing back down to single file, but not for the number 6 spot back there, running still too wide, running that high line here at Milwaukee Mile in 3 and 4, but moving down in the single file line looks to be the preferred option here early in the race. Just trying to turn down and get some laps early in. Maybe get some fuel saving in the works now and save your tires now. Maybe get a little bit aggressive later on, but not today as he shoots for the inside on Mr. Jake Cummings, trying to take that position away. Does he get it? So now he kind of backs out of it a little bit just to follow back down to that single file line going into 1 and 2. A little bit tighter of a corner compared to 3 and 4. As he tries to maybe take a little bit of a look outside in that 4th gear of the number 20 machine of Dylan Beatty.
And I think that'll just show you how difficult passing is here today. Beatty able to make that bottom work really well, but if he can't slide up all the way to the wall, it gives Jake Cummings plenty of momentum on corner exit, and he's just not able to complete the pass. Now riding on board with Brennan Lyman under fire from Stockner. Stockner going to slide up in front of him, put him in dirty air, wrecking in front of him. Nick Henley's in the wall. Lyman's able to avoid it by going through the grass, but for the first time today, the caution is out. There was huge impact with the outside safer barrier. That's the 64 of Nick Henley. Getting a look at it here. Looks to me like somebody might get to his right rear. Hard to tell from that angle, but a multi-car incident very early in this one. And this replay is going to take it back just a little bit here. Henley gets loose off of the corner, overcorrects into the wall, and fortunately, he is the only car involved. Do apologize for that. A single car incident, not a multi-car wreck, but still not a good outcome here for Nick Henley.
Absolutely not, but let's be assured that he is probably going to have to tow that back into pit lane, if not be able to limp it back in and use his one and only fast repair. These cars are allowed to have that one fast repair during this race. You only get one, so be careful and use it wisely. But he's going to have to use it for the early race.
So that is going to take away that option for later in the event for Nick Henley. If he finds himself involved in another incident, it will be day done for the driver, the 64. But at the moment, he is the only car 1 lap down. He will have the opportunity to get the free pass or the wave around here later in this race. We do have those rules in effect for this season. So not over yet for Nick Henley, but he's got himself a little bit of a hole that he is going to have to try to climb out of here. Still plenty of racing to go. Caution came out lap 5 of 250. Our Muhammad Alif Wyatt Burton able to remain the top 2 positions, and they'll stay that way when we take the green flag here for a single file restart. Looks to me like the lights on the pace truck are still on, so we'll get one more lap under yellow. But going back to that hit for Henley, one of those moments where you're really glad that this is a simulator and that was not a real impact.
Very glad these cars have that halo system that got implemented a few years ago. Otherwise, this wouldn't be as safe as it is nowadays. These cars are really built tough nowadays, but that's still going to hurt a good bat. That whiplash does hurt a little bit, even though you have that Hans device connected to your helmet. Still going to hurt no matter what. We're very glad this is a simulation. Otherwise, we'd have the ambulance out on track, taking a look at him and make sure that he is okay.
We are seeing those messages in the chat, cheering on Wyatt Burton and get the tarps. Yeah, I think the old Ricky Paz catchphrase, if you will, is absolutely applicable. It can be applied in that situation. The esteemed panel, yeah, I clearly am not esteemed. You can't pronounce the word applicable. My producer's making fun of me for it. But we definitely need to get the tarps for Nick Henley. But back out front, it's his teammate, Our Muhammad Alif going to look off his gearbox back at Wyatt Burton as we take the green flag with 242 circuits to go here in Milwaukee. And once again, we are green flag racing.
Green flag, green flag.
Very good start there from Alif, taking a little bit of a lead off of Wyatt Burton. A very good jump there to get just a little bit of a gap. But Wyatt Burton is going to start tracking him down coming in at 3 and 4. He's been a little bit stronger here during practice and qualifying that I've seen through 3 and 4, where Muhammad Alif a better exit through 1 and 2. And start tracking it down into 1 and 2 now, getting that better exit out of 3 and 4 really helped Wyatt Burton. But it is going to be a game of yo-yos. Back and forth, just rubber banding between who can get there faster and who can get out of it just that much quicker. I cut back over here to Nick Stockner and Jake Dick. Stockner's another very good driver.
Yeah, taking a look at Keegan Kallick here right alongside Josh Camphor. This is the first side-by-side battle in the field. This is at the back end of the top 10. They're both under fire from BSU's Jake Dick. Dick going to look in the middle, potentially take it 3 wide. Backs out of that one just a little bit as Camphor was able to work on him really hard on the bottom. This time by, it looks like he's going to be rewarded if he can be clear of Kallick on corner exit and just barely sneaks the gearbox in front of the wing of that 29 for SCC. Now hanging the inside, looking at the back end of Nick Stockner. Stockner up 3 spots from where he started today. We knew he was going to be an eye to keep an eye on. Always aggressive and starting at the back of the field in a track that he's typically pretty good at. Now Jacob Dick looking to the inside of Keegan Kallick, but nothing quite there for him yet.
I'll just hold your breath because we still have another 230-something laps to go as he sneaks on the inside there to get that move done and get that spot into his name. And he gets it going into 1 and 2. A very strong move there coming into 1 and 2. Happy that was a nice pass. That was almost right there.
Yeah, basically got the over-under on him, right? Was able to enter turn 1 kind of high, come down on exit, get a really nice run down the straightaway. Even though he didn't have the draft, he was still able to get alongside that purple car and make the pass happen. Or excuse me, get alongside Keegan Kallick and make that pass happen. As now Kallick is under fire from Stell Beasley, that's St. Clair and Delaware going at it. This little group here, though, Camphor and Dick not able to get away as the BSU driver looks to the outside of Josh Camphor now. Once again, the over-under gets to his left rear and should be able to fire it off into turn 1 and get that spot. If Camphor's going to try to hold the outside and get momentum, it's not going to be enough. We'll get the draft here, but now looking back up front, this is the battle for the 3rd spot. Cale Davidson pretty easily clear Lucas Moody. I think that's some good recognition there from Moody that it's a teammate and it's also early in the race.
There's no point to really fight a whole lot early in this race. You're only going to do nothing but burn the tires and burn more fuel. And that's really going to cost you later on when you're probably 40 or 50 laps down. Really hurting to maybe try and make that pit stop last a little bit longer, maybe another lap more, and just get that much more of an undercut, or an overcut, I should say, against the guy in front of you. When every second counts here, when your laps are about 20 to 21 seconds in length. It's really not a little bit of a wall tap there coming. Keegan Kallick coming in 1 and 2.
Yeah, it looked like he tapped it just a little bit. Don't think there's any major damage there, but he lost some momentum. He was really trying to work that car on corner exit to avoid that contact, but it opened up the door for Josh Camphor. Camphor not quite able to sneak through, but that's lost Stell Beasley, and now the KSU driver Aaron Gosler is in this mix as well. So this is a pretty good scrap here from about 10th on back. But something you mentioned there, Wes, I think is going to be really important. This is going to drive a lot more like a typical oval race than the super speedway style that we see, in that you have to manage your tires. I don't think you can go down and throw down a qualifying lap every single lap. You just don't have the grip for that. You don't have the life in the tires. As we see here, Stell Beasley gave the outside to, I believe that was Aaron Gosler, had to look to the top. It may actually be Nick Henley who's trying to work his way through the field. Henley 2 laps down. Really just needs to keep himself in it to get a couple of free passes. But like I was saying, you do have to save tires. You can't just go out and run as hard as you can So these guys are going to be managing that as well. Taking a look back up here at our leader, our Muhammad Alif, who is not quite yet getting to lap traffic, but he can see them off there in turn 3. That's going to be another factor to look at in this race.
The name here at the Milwaukee Mile, you only have a mile worth of track to run in such a short track like this, even though it's very spread out. You really kind of start looking into that lap traffic so early on in this race. Only 23 laps in, and our Muhammad Alif is still already just now going to have to start thinking about where he's going to put that car around the lap traffic, and maybe if he can use that lap traffic as a little bit of a moving roadblock, get just that much more of a gap between him and Mr. White Burton of that 26 machine.
A replay we're taking a look at there. Nick Stockner lost the 8th position to Jake Dick. Pretty good move by the 22 to get it on the outside. Looked like Stockner got a little bit squirrely on the bottom. Now back to a live shot here, looking off the rear wing of Jake Dick. He's put a little bit of a gap back to Stockner. And you can see Keegan Kallick there in the white car in the picture as well. Kallick has driven away almost 2 seconds now between Kallick and Camphor. I got to imagine that's kind of the difference between the short run and the long run here. A little bit of extra tire that Camphor burnt off fighting these guys super hard in the short run. As still looking at Jake Dick, he's done a pretty good job thus far in this race, higher than where he qualified. Now he is trying to run down Brennan Lyman.
Yeah, you kind of said that short run versus a long run. You really have to think about where you want to burn that tire, whether you want to burn it right off a corner exit, whether you want to use it in the corner to just to get a little bit more rotation and turn down from that high line and just get a little bit of a better exit. It just depends on where you want to use that tire, more so than when. These tires do wear out very fast. You only have probably a good 30 or 40 laps of tire wear left to use from your start of your stint there. But the fuel, it does run a little bit longer. You have about a 60 lap stint to use up there. But that last 20 laps is really just kind of hurting and kind of burn laps down just to bring it down the pit lane and get some fresh tires, get some fresh fuel, and keep her going. It just really depends on where and when you want to use it. We're so early in the race, it's really kind of redundant at this point where you're going to have a lot of cycling around in the pits between all these fighting cars and kind of the 10th spot on back. Kind of really sitting on what's going to happen and how many laps can we turn.
Yeah, absolutely right, Wesley. We'll see how this one plays out in the strategy books. I'd expect we're not going to see cars on pit road for maybe another 20 laps here or so. So you want to position yourself as good as you can before that happens. Wyatt Burton, the last couple of laps, has taken a couple tenths off the lead of our Muhammad Alif as we watch Jake Dick use the inside to take a spot away from Brennan Lyman. Now here's Burton. We can see Cale Davidson on the screen as well. These top three not too strung out, but I don't think they're close enough to be doing a whole lot of fuel saving right now. This one, not so much a fuel game. I think going to be a little bit more tire games today. Something a little bit unique to this Milwaukee race. I don't know if there's another track on the schedule we're going to see tires be as much of a factor as they will be today. But we'll see how this one plays out. Alif typically very good at saving his stuff for the end of the run. So the fact that he already has a 1 second lead is not a good sight for his competitors.
100%. He's been topping it all season long. You've already said he's had 4 wins this season, so he's already way up there in the leaderboards, heading it off by quite a few points compared to Jake Cummings, Wyatt Burton, Cale Davidson, a lot of our high-strung leaderboards. So he's just kind of sitting comfortably. He's only really wanting to get that oval win realistically, just to say, hey, I have a whole oval win in the Formula College Series to go along with my 4 other road series. So he's really just kind of sitting here comfortable with Wyatt Burton really stringing out for that first win of the season here. And to make it Milwaukee Mile is something special. It's a very special track for this series, being it the first time we're here. So if Wyatt Burton can pull that off and get his first win here, that would be one heck of a story to pull on for future season on down the line.
Yeah, and something to think about too is that that big picture we talk about with the championship points. Alif has it pretty solidly, but this would be his 3rd consecutive win too. You go back to the past couple of weeks at Road Atlanta and then Barber last week. Something that doesn't happen often in the CIL, a guy winning 3 races in a row. So he really wants that achievement. It would give him a lot of points. It'd give him a lot of confidence going into Mugello, a track that he is likely going to be very, very good at. So that's kind of that big picture has got to be in the back of his mind as well. This championship battle is not over. Can't give it to Alif quite yet. Of course, we won't crown that really until the end of the Kansas race. But he's had some bad luck and some good luck. A mixed bag for Alif at the Ovals this season. Thus far, he is running pretty well. Meanwhile, his teammate cutting in to the gap up to Wyatt Burton. It was up to almost a second at one point. Right now, it's about half a second between the 26 and the 2. As they're catching lap traffic, you can see the 38 of Adrian Tubakovic on pace. We're already going to be fighting Alif to avoid going a lap down here, just less than 40 laps into this race.
Yeah, the real strat here would be to use Tubakovic as almost a roadblock, maybe get right past him and try and see if he can get Wyatt Burton to be slowed down just a little bit, even though they have about 8/10 of a gap. The main thing I would be personally looking for is to try and use Tubakovic as a moving block to try and put a little bit more of a gap. But with Tubakovic kind of moving out of the way and letting Mr. R. Muhammad Alif take that position away, you kind of see it into 1 and 2 here, almost like it's trying to play out, like he's trying to use him. But Tubakovic is just going to sit out of the way and let Wyatt Burton on through, not wanting to put up a fight this early on in the races. Almost detrimental to what Alif was trying to do.
Yeah, it was a good move, I think, from Tubakovic to kind of get out of the way. You can see those leaders come and know that they've got more pace than him, but the spot that he pulled over was right on corner exit. It did actually kind of put Alif at a disadvantage. He couldn't maintain a lot of momentum down the straightaway, and it closed that gap up. It was 1.2. Now it's just 0.5. Cale Davidson did a good job getting around the 38 as well. I think actually passed him on a straightaway. That's kind of the ideal spot. You don't want to make your car work any extra in the corner. You want to do it on a straight. And that's where Davidson did it. So he is now just about within a second of Alif as well. They have a big gap back to Lucas Moody, 2.5 seconds between the 3rd and 4th place cars. But for the moment, we're now seeing Keegan Kallick on pit road. This could be a strategy play. You talk about maybe splitting this race into 5 stints. This is a super early pit if that is the scenario. But right here, Keegan Kallick looking like he's going to make his first scheduled stop of the day.
We're only 42 laps into this race on his 60-lap fuel stint, so that's really early of a pit stop to look for on Keegan Kallick to use. Like you said, it could be a 5-stint run maybe compared to the 6 stints that we're probably going to be looking at for the majority of the field. We'll just have to see how that strategy plays out later into the race, and hopefully it turns out well for him.
And that's looking like a longer stop for Keegan Kallick. I don't know if there was damage to that car or if maybe he's just done for the night. This is a really interesting... Oh, there was some wall contact there for Kallick. He was under fire from Camphor. This is the 2nd or 3rd time we've seen this. 29 just grazed the wall a little bit, but an open wheel car, no fenders. There was nothing to stop that damage from murdering your suspension. You can see it looks like car in front maybe grabbed the wall as well. And Kallick, unfortunately, followed the tire tracks right into the wall. So that is going to drop Keegan Kallick well off the pace. You talk about a 20-second lap. If he sits on pit road for a couple of minutes, he's going to go 6 or 7 laps down, already -4, dropping him to the bottom of the board. Honestly, this could be day done for the driver of the 29. We'll see if he stays in it, but not a strategy call. Definitely seemed a little bit early to pit. But if you do want to split this race exactly into 5ths, which I think you talk about tire wear, that could be a preferred strategy, you will start to pit around lap 50. You'll kind of pit every 50 laps. As another car in the wall, that is Jake Dick from Ball State, imitating Keegan Kallick there, not in a great way. Gets both right sides in the fence. He is still running in the 7th position, but it may be time for him to bring it down pit road as well.
Just maybe we're kind of seeing a little bit of a wall tap all around the grid here. Kind of looking through some of the different cars. They're all kind of experiencing a little bit of that tire loss, a little bit of the tire wear about 48 laps into this race. The main thing would probably be just to kind of sit there, take it a little easy, but not for Muhammad Alif, and none of the top 5 also trying to push as much as they can. So we'll see if that tire wear starts to affect those 3 and just see if it is maybe a 50-lap run for tires, or if maybe they can try and push as much as they can into that 60 lap on the nose. We kind of seen Muhammad Alif been very strong all season with his fuel saving strategies. At Indianapolis make the 30 lap runs almost 35 to 36 with his strategies. So we may see another play like that. If we can take another look over at Muhammad Alif, it looks like they are kind of catching a little bit of a lap traffic there, almost using a little bit better of a run there. You see that gap drop a little bit back down to 5.5 tenths, even down to 4 tenths a little bit there.
Yeah, that was Aaron Gosler from Kansas State. He's gone a lap down as well. So we talk about maybe pitting on every 50, splitting this race into fifths. Looks to me like just about everybody is going to try to cut out a pit stop here and put this race in quarters. So that's going to mean going a little bit past the lap 60 mark. Like you said, that very top end of the fuel window. You see Cale Davidson and Gosler get really close on corner exit there. Gosler going to let him go. The good move there as the lap car. But that cost Davidson quite a bit of time, a couple tenths of a second. Now Jake Dick has actually caught Jake Cummings. We talked about maybe some right side damage on that 22 car, but it seems no issue. He's run down Cummings, and they're also eating into the gap ahead to Dylan Beatty. Dick is going to have a big run, nearly gets into the gearbox of the Converse University machines, able to back out at the last second. He may have the opportunity to look to the inside here, knowing they're coming up on the pit stop. He may try to just get Cummings on an undercut here. But for the moment, he's going to stay right on the tail end of the 95. Both those cars, you can tell, out of grip, well outside the top 5. But Dick wants this spot before the cycle happens. Now we're looking back. Josh Camphor, Nick Stockner. This is for the 9th position. Camphor gave it up earlier in the run. Looks like he was able to save a bit in the middle portion. Now he has some grip at the end, and he is going to clear Stockner coming off turn 4.
We kind of saw Stockner be a little bit of aggressive early in the stint with Jake Dick finally making that move on Jake Cummings. Battle of the Jakes seems to be well thought out for Jake Dick in that 22 machine. I see him catching up there on Dylan Beatty and the 5th spot. Maybe a 5th top 5 maybe in the works for Jake Dick. I see him just start chasing him down with that little bit of grip he may have saved from earlier. Jake Cummings just almost sort of falling a little back, maybe a little bit of too much tire earlier in the stint here. You just see that gap between the two cars of the 22 and the 20 just start slowly decreasing there. Adam, really hoping maybe he can get another move done here before the lap stint is done. Maybe see some more action from that number 22 car.
I'm seeing here is something that's really interesting. We've got a swap for the lead. Alif and Burton going at it. Sorry there, that battle's going to heat up. Dylan Beatty under fire from his teammate, but Alif has been run down by Burton. Burton had the lead momentarily, as now he's able to get to the inside of Alif on corner exit. Wide Burton's told me recently he's going to these races. Basically, he's there to win. He's not so concerned with the overall point standings right now. Alif is running for the title, but Burton is just trying to win, and right there he gives it a little too much throttle on corner exit, taps the wall, and that is going to set him back a couple of car lengths, but still in the fight for the lead. He can stay right there with Alif on the long run. Davidson is back in this battle. They've lapped past Stell Beasley, as now Jake Dick has got the move completed on Dylan Beatty as well. That's a little bit farther back in the pack as the leaders get strung out once again, now pushing lap 60. Pit stops right around the corner. I know I keep saying that, but trust me, they are. Another battle going on. Josh Camphor, Brennan Lyman. That's the battle for the 8th spot. Camphor kind of been on the move both up and down since the drop of the green flag, trying to end this stint on the top of a plateau. He can get himself one more spot.
I see a little bit of a 4.5 second gap between Jake Dick and Lucas Moody. I don't think he's gonna get it right on this stint. Maybe coming off of the pit stops, if he can play it right, maybe take another lap. Compared to that Lucas Moody, maybe he may look at that 4th spot, but as of right now, he's just going to have to hold off of Jake Cummings and Dylan Beatty, where he's got about a 1.5 seconds between himself and Jake Cummings, that 95 machine. He's really been pushing the last little bit of those tires he saved early on, but like you said, that pit stop is right around the corner, with that pit entrance being a very sharp turn in, almost going to be a little bit of an interesting run-in. We might see maybe some incident there. We may see some last second pass, move in, trying to get into the pits. Just have to see what happens. As you see Wyatt Burton almost coming into Muhammad Alif coming off of 3 and 4, and he may try and take a move into the 1 and 2, and he does. He moves to the inside trying to get that pass done, but he might get it done.
Yeah, it's turned into a three-way battle for the lead now. Wyatt Burton doing a really good job making the bottom work late in this stint. They've also caught the lap car of Nick Stockner. Alif gets in the dirty air of the 124. It's Burton and Alif side by side at the line. Wyatt Burton leads the lap, fires it off to the bottom, but now he gets in the wake of the Clemson machine. Muhammad Alif going to try to get a run off the top, gets the crossover and fires it to the bottom down into turn number 3.
Don't count him out yet because you have Cale Davidson sitting in that third spot, almost running a little bit high and getting that position off, and through he goes with Muhammad.
And Alif is into the pits. Dylan Beatty has also made a stop as well, and the caution is out. Wrecking in turn number 2, that is Dylan Beatty, and that is either going to make or break Muhammad Alif's race. It looks like it was Beatty off the nose of Nick Henley. Some Ball State on Ball State violence here. This is the difference in lines. You can see Henley's got that car wound up. He's going to get a really big run down the front straightaway. And as he looks to the bottom, Beatty commits to the inside late. And unfortunately, those two cars come together for another incident involving really just one car. But unfortunately, it is a BSU car once again. Yeah, Henley moves to the bottom. And I think Beatty was expecting the space. Netcode, though, between those two cars, I'd imagine they would have come together regardless.
You kind of saw it on his wing there that he went flying. Yeah. Did indeed go flying, like he said, on that wing. So a little bit of a wall of ball. Really coming into that strategy there. Just a little bit of an incident of just a little bit too much of a commitment and not enough communication between the two drivers. Not sure of what really happened there, but Alif is going to retain that lead. So that, I guess that was a really smart move from the dip down that at lap. That was a really smart move.
And something else we had to think about too, Dylan Beatty had just come off pit road. I'd imagine there were some cold tires on that 20 car as he was caught up in the wreck. The official ruling of the incident was deemed netcode. So neither of those drivers called at fault, but it certainly seemed like that 20 car was a little bit shaky. And I would imagine that those colder, newer tires play a little bit of part in that as we see the field lining up. Burton and Davidson ahead of Alif here. This is interesting. Ideally, iRacing will get this sorted out as now I think those two are going to pit this time. So yes, everybody pitting under this yellow except for Muhammad Alif. Alif was on the lead lap when the caution came out, so he'll simply stay out. Everybody else will come in and pit. They'll have about maybe one lap fresher tires than him, but that difference really won't matter a whole lot. But right now everybody's going to be on the fuel save here, trying to make sure that they can make the rest of this race on just 2 more pit stops. I think everybody did a pretty good job there to go 65 laps, a little bit longer than the window that we were initially anticipating. So clearly these guys know something we don't, maybe manipulating those fuel maps a little bit, driving the car a little bit differently. But for the moment, Alif will keep the lead. That's actually going to cycle the 2 and the 26 out to the rear of the field, I believe. So they'll have some work to do, maybe just wanted a little bit extra gas in the car to try to make sure they can make it on those 2 extra pit stops. Is the only real reason I can imagine you'd want to pit later. But if they've gone ahead and done that, it'll be really interesting to watch. The 2 fastest cars on track at the end of that run are going to be starting at the back and trying to make their way through the field. So we'll see if they can get it done. Muhammad Alif hits the restart zone. We're racing once again at Milwaukee, and immediately he gets a pretty big jump on his teammate Lucas Moody. The battle for the Jakes has resumed down into turn number 3. Cummings on the inside, Dick up top. Jacob Dick going to try to get a really big run, switches it back down to the bottom. He's going to have the inside lane going into turn number 1. As right behind these two, it's Aaron Gosler, I believe, the lap car. I believe the free pass, that pass, yellow went to Stell Beasley. So Gosler still trapped a lap down. He is going to fight hard to maintain that position. A little bit of a ways back to Josh Camphor. Look at the move from Jake Dick. Barely grazes by the gearbox of Cummings as he moves to the inside. As now Jake Dick Cummings still side by side now 3 laps after the restart. that battle for the moment. We'll take a break. Jake Cummings held onto the spot. He's now up to third, the highest that he's run all day.
But not out of it yet. It looks like Jake Dick is still going to move back in for that spot again. We're going to cut back in here for Nick Stockner, and the lap car is running almost 3 wide there. Just a little bit going into one as we kind of
Whoa! A slider that Stockner pulled there went from the bottom to the top. I don't think that white car is Tubakovic. Don't think he liked that very much. Now Stel Beasley to the inside. That is Brennan Lyman that is hung up top in that blue car. Beasley going to enter the corner super low, trying to see if they can't get clear of the 78. They're going to be 3 wide with Tubakovic, and Lyman grazes the ball. Just a little bit something that we have seen all day long. Hopefully that doesn't hamper the 78 too much. He gets the wall again. More contact for Lyman now as he slides off the back of the pack.
Kind of the last of the lead lap cars, so he really wants to get by all of these lap cars just to keep himself that much further, maybe get out of the way just in case maybe another caution comes out, because if one comes out and that leader gets right by him, he's going to go a lap down. But for right now, he's still going to be the last lap car in the spot of that 78 machine. Almost against the bumper there for that white machine car. They cut back, and they're 3 wide back there.
Yeah, that battle really fierce. Although Tubakovic not on the lead lap, he's certainly putting the fight to him. Wants to avoid going 2 down, because if he can catch Aaron Gosler, put himself in the free pass spot, and then catch a yellow, that would be the ideal case for the driver of the 38. But right now, this battle that we're looking at, these two, 6th and 7th on track. We talked about him pit just a little bit later under that caution, trying to maybe save some fuel, but having to work their way through the pack. Really good on the long run for both Burton and Davidson, but at the moment, there's 4 cars between them and the leader. I think they'd be inclined to work together here instead of fighting each other as they work their way back to the front of the pack. I imagine they're going to wind up there eventually. The real question is, how long will it take? And if they have to push, will they be able to save the fuel that they want to make the rest of this race? We'll just have to see. Now Burton looks to the inside of Kampfer. He's traditionally been a little bit better here in 1 and 2. Let's see if he'll slide up on exit and complete the pass. Just barely gets it done. Wide Burton up to the pit spot.
Cut it out because Josh Kampfer going to dive it back down to the inside of 3 and 4. He's going to take that position back, trying to just keep himself ahead, but with Wyatt Burton not wanting to give it up yet, trying to make another move into 1 and 2. Josh Kampfer going to be fighting the entire way around just to get as much of a gap he can, maybe retain that position early in the race. Still have another 100 and something laps to go. But as for right now, we still have a couple of pit laps to go. But that is Wyatt Burton and Kel Davidson both through on Josh Kampfer. Let's not count it out yet, because Josh Kampfer has been known for fighting all race long. He has been given tooth and nail to every car that comes up here. He's fighting all night, trying to keep that position in and fight as much as he can for the best position he can maybe come home tonight with.
Yeah, Kampfer really strong on the short run and the long run. He was a guy who's pretty good on both ends of that first stint. Right there, he certainly put the fight to both of those drivers. Didn't lay over for him at all. Overdrove it a little bit into turn 3, I think, and that kind of put the nail in the coffin. Slid Davison up to the 6th spot, as now Cummings and Burton looking to hunt down the 22. I think they've got a little bit of lap traffic to work through first. The way they've cycled out to put him behind Aaron Gosler. So once they get around the Kansas State driver, they'll have Jake Dick, Lucas Moody, and then they'll have to cross a sea of 3 seconds to get back up to R. Muhammad Alif. We'll see if they can't do it. Davidson just a little bit of counter steer on exit there to keep that car out of the fence. Good move there. Now he's able to get all the way to the bottom, as that is, I believe, Nick Henley that they're doing battle with there, as Adrian Tubakovic is into pit road. I think there was some contact there with the 38. Don't know if this is a scheduled stop or not. Looks like he's able to get rolling, so no major damage. That is Nick Henley on the outside. Henley and Cummings held up together now. Cummings gets by Henley. Henley gets to the bottom, gets out of the way, lets Burton by, and we'll see if he treats his teammate the same way. He does. Gives Davison a good run off the corner, and Burton spins it, gets down into the grass, and the caution is out. No contact, and Burton's able to save it, but he loses all of his track position. steps on the throttle just a bit too hard on corner exit. And for the third time today, the caution's out. We'll see here, riding behind Nick Henley. Henley goes to the bottom, gets out of the way, 2 laps down, kind of what you'd expect. But this is really a solo car spin, I think, out of Burton. He crosses the wake, gets in the aero wash of the 30 car, and unfortunately, just a little bit too much input. Certainly no lack of trying for Wyatt Burton, but the driver from Trine finds himself in the grass, still on the lead lap. But he'll likely have to pit here to take those hot tires off and kind of reset, try to fight another day. But that does mean, I believe, free pass will be Aaron Gosler, so that'll give us about 10 cars left on the lead lap here at. So we'll see who pits. Definitely an opportunity to get some fresh tires. Jake Cummings, Stell Beasley, a couple others at the rear of the field look like they're going to be making their way on pit road, definitely including Wyatt Burton. So they'll pit, they'll have a tire advantage, but they will be at a track position disadvantage. A lot of dirty air and a lot of cars still to pass.
Along with that, a little bit of a track disadvantage, but a car advantage is really going to throw them off of the main pit strategy. We're kind of saying we're going to run almost into a 4 stint, but with that Wyatt Burton and these other cars, including Jake Cummings, running down here and getting fresh tires and fresh fuel at lap 85, that's really going to throw off a little bit of the autonomy of the race here, where we saw R. Muhammad Ali and many others dip down in lap 65. We're really going to see a little bit of a hogwash, a little bit, R. Muhammad Ali, maybe a little bit of a leader change here in the next 30 to 40 laps or so. You may see Wyatt Burton start to reel in on those top 2 cars with that little bit of a better tire and fuel strategy. We'll just have to see a little bit later on the race if that offset strategy does indeed work out for him, or if the autonomy of the 4 stints still going to pay off.
I think what we're basically looking at here is a situation where we have an A strategy and a B strategy. All the guys that stayed out under this caution, they pitted around lap 65. You'd expect them to go another 65 laps or so. So that has them coming in around lap 130. Everybody who comes in here, they're going to try to break this race up as even as possible. If they can push this stint to lap 150, pit again on 200, they get to the end. So there's going to be about a 20 lap difference there, I'd imagine. Front group of the field right now, they'll be in on lap 130, probably about 20 laps. Then on 150, we'll see the likes of Cummings, Burton, everybody else will be in then. So there will be some overlap there if we don't see another yellow, but we're set to go back. Green flag racing, still just under 160 laps to go here at Milwaukee. Our Muhammad Ali leads us into the restart zone, and we are once again racing in Milwaukee. The BSU drivers leading us down into turn number 1.
I see a lot of a fighting there between a little bit further back in the pack between the top 10 there, and who's that? I think that is Brennan Lyman moving to the inside to take that position back, but not counting out. He's still going to dive it down. We're going to go 2 wide, 2 rows back for the 6th spot.
And they are 3 wide here. That's Jacob Dick in the middle. Kampfer on the bottom wisely decides to back out as Jacob Dick throws it into the corner right now. He is trying to get clear, barely able to get up in front of that white car. I think that is Tubakovic maybe. A few laps down, really just trying to get out of the way. Kampfer there pinned on the bottom. But Tubakovic still able to fight for track position if he wants to. For the moment, going to stay high. Now he'll be under fire from Nick Henley. Back here is Burton underneath Stockner. Going to try to get that position. Fresh tires from the driver from Trine. Don't think there was any damage to that car. So a quick pit stop. A new set of rubber. He's up through the field. Got to talk about Stell Beasley, Jake Cummings, and I think Brennan Lyman may have been on pit road that last time as well. So we'll keep an eye on that group of drivers. Like we've said, that's the B strategy. They should be fast here on the short run and able to go just a little bit longer. This battle not over yet, though. Stockner putting the fight to Burton, launches it in to the bottom there, but it looks like the momentum from the high side and that toe down the straightaway, advantage goes to Burton. He should be clear into 3.
Nick Stockner kind of being a little bit of aggressive, trying to get back into that fight with Wyatt Burton, just to get that little bit more of a track position back out of it.
We're going to ride on board now with Nick Stockner as he's looking here at the gearbox of Wyatt Burton. Burton finds himself in a side-by-side battle, and Nick finds himself with a front row seat. You can see just how sketchy it is on corner exit, especially when you don't have a lot of downforce on the car being behind somebody. Stockner going to opt for the middle here in 3 and 4, I think, just because that's the lane that's open. Car up top, car on the bottom. Might as well go where they're not. And Nick finds himself in the middle, riding 5th gear all the way down the straightaway. Looks like Burton able to get clear of Brennan Lyman, but Lyman had an opportunity for the crossover. Both of them had to back out. Now Stockner moves to the bottom, and he's going to try to hold the middle here, actually. Lyman is going to get the opportunity to get a run off the outside, and he'll be clear on corner exit. But that was a big moment there. Lyman hangs on to the 9th spot. Burton up to P8. Now Stockner still wants the position, but right in that arrow wash, nearly taps the wall on corner exit. Going to get a run down the straight. But I think as long as Lyman can hold the top, this pass is going to be really, really difficult for Stockton to make.
Especially on kind of these older tires here for Nick Stockner. I don't think he pit on that little caution there, so he's going to be running probably 30-lap-old tires. So he's towards the end of that tire life on this stint, and I believe Brennan Lyman pit. I may be mistaken there, so he may be on fresher tires if you want to double-check me on that. So he might be at a little bit of a disadvantage here, trying to take away that 8th spot. We just got word that they are on equal tires, so it is just a little bit of a wall tap there from Nick Stockner. Get him a little bit of damage on that right side. A little bit of loose coming out of that corner, and just couldn't keep it out of the wall at that time.
He was pushing really hard to stick with Lyman, but unfortunately going to lose some track position. Now under fire from Aaron Gosler. We should see the 30 car creep into the picture. Stockner all the way to the bottom, shuts the door on Aaron Gosler. He's been fighting really hard here, but I'd imagine there is just a bit of damage to the right front. Don't think that's the first time that Stockner's tapped the wall. So we'll see how he manages now riding on board with Gosler. Gosler can see him. Gosler can also see Burton. That's Lyman side by side with the lap car of Tubakovic. Both of these guys able to run away with it for the moment.
Stockner dives all the way to the bottom going into 3 and 4. Maybe he's kind of trying to deal a little bit with that wheel damage. We might see him into the pit lane, and yes, he does. He goes down to the pit lane for that orange wheel racing car. But speaking of orange in the color, the thing special about orange is we have a holiday coming up tomorrow, Cade. Very special holiday, a very celebrated holiday here in the U.S. We have Halloween going on.
That's right, we do. Hopefully you'll have your costumes ready, your trick-or-treating ready. I do not have a costume picked out yet. I was thinking of last minute drawing a blue circle, putting it on a black shirt, and pretending to be Tony Stark. I don't know if I'm going to go through with that or not. But I don't know. My grandparents are going to be in town. I'm going to have fun. We wish you all a happy Halloween. And eat lots of candy. I mean, it's really... any excuse to eat candy, I think, is a good excuse.
Absolutely, I love eating candy on Halloween. It's a very special thing. I've got my costume all picked out, Kate. I've got I'm gonna be Anakin from Wars. I got my lightsaber, my robes, and everything. I'm all prepared for tomorrow.
Yeah, Nick Stockner there, back to the lecture at hand, as Nick would say. Down pit road, long pit stop. Definitely trying to fix some damage, and could be similar situation to Calic. Once you smack the wall, it takes so long to fix that damage. You lose so many laps. This could be the end of the race for Nick Stockner there. So an unfortunate end, fighting inside the top 10 on the lead lap. Really just was not a good day for Stockner. Didn't qualify too great. Nearly went a lap down on pace, and then unfortunately found the outside wall. So that's going to move Beatty up one more spot. He's still fighting 4 laps down. Not really a whole lot of opportunity for him to get back into this race either. But we will keep an eye on that, as we really have just 9 cars left on the lead lap. Something happened to Stell Beasley as well, the driver from Delaware, rookie, first season in the CIL. Unfortunately lost a lap. Thought I had a pretty good strategy there. Came into pit road, with Wyatt Burton, but unfortunately not going to be able to see that one out. So still Armahov leading. He's got Armahamid Alif, leading this race. He's got 2 seconds on teammate Lucas Moody, but this is the battle for second. A couple of BSU drivers, Moody and Davidson, within a couple tenths of a second of each other. They'll have to come into the pits fairly soon here, but for the moment, set to battle it out for the second rung on the podium.
Running with these 3 ball cars, we're looking at another case of the ball of ball coming here in effect about halfway into the race here, with Jake Cummings and Josh Camphor not too far. Josh Camphor trying to get a little bit closer on Jake Dick in the 4th spot, running 1-2 for the Ball State machine. Josh Camphor, Jake Cummings are the first cars outside of Ball State to be in that top 5 in the highest paying points in the race at the moment, with Wyatt Burton sitting about 2 seconds off of Jake Cummings. So we may see the battle of Jakes start to resume. Take a look here at Aaron Gosler and Brennan Lyman. A couple of Aaron Gosler actually made his way back onto the lead lap underneath that last caution with the lucky dog coming around. So that's a very good day for Aaron Gosler. If he can keep it under the main lap, that would be amazing news for that number 30 machine.
That's something we do typically see with these oval races. Haven't seen a whole lot of it today, but is attrition. You see some wrecks, a lot of cars get taken out. If you can just find a way to get yourself on the lead lap, you know that you'll be able to get some good track position. Of course, the incidents involving Beatty, Henley, Stockner, Calick out of the race. There's been a couple of opportunities there to make that happen. So good news for Gosler. The bad news is if you look at the very end of the screen, you can see the leaders coming into sight, Armahamid Alif, and the battle behind them, second place, has actually gone to Cale Davidson. So we're going to take a look here. This is the last lap pit being shown on the ticker there. The top 5 drivers are probably expected to be in here in about 18 laps. Actually, they're expected to be in about 18 laps or so. Everybody else, like we've talked about, expected to be in probably maybe 35 laps or so would be my guess. It'll be really interesting to see how it plays out. So we're keeping an eye on Gosler and Lyman battling Davidson up to the 2nd spot, and Camphor still able to hang on to P5. Pretty strung out field here, but we'll see the strategy play out in the long run as we close in on the halfway point here in today's Support Community Schools 250. We are seeing those messages with you guys in the chat. A lot of cheering for Mr. Excitement, Wyatt Burton. We see you brought a really good cheering section here today, as he should have. Still in the process of recovering from that spin as we look off the front bumper of Armahamid Alif. Excuse me, this is the front wing of Armahamid Alif, catching some lap traffic. Wyatt Burton on a little bit of a different strategy, so no hope is not done for the number 26 car. He is still plenty in this race. A little bit of ways to go before he catches Jake Cummings. He'll likely have to get him on a pit cycle here. But you're looking at your current leader, regardless of strategy. Armahamid Alif has himself in the catbird seat. Looking at the gearbox, I believe that is Adrian Tubakovic. Looking to put that driver 2 laps down. Actually, that may be Brennan Lyman. I don't know. We'll see when he pulls alongside. Not sure who that was. And that was Aaron Gosler there. Sorry, driver of the 30 car. We saw him looking at the gearbox of Armahamid Alif. We cycled through, found that for you. Gosler back on the lead lap at one point, but I think burnt his tires off, fighting Lyman pretty hard. You see Lyman's now put 3 seconds on him, and that is going to drop Gosler back 1 lap down, still in the free pass position. and I believe he's the only car exactly one lap down. You got to go a ways back to Stell Beasley. Beasley nearly -2. So for the moment, Gosler does still have himself in position to potentially capitalize on another free pass, but in order for that to happen, he would need another yellow to come out.
Well, we just won't have to touch out on that yellow. We may see another one here soon, kind of towards the end of the life of the tires here for the top 6 here between Muhammad Alif to Josh Camphor. They're going to be coming in here within the next couple of laps. I presume here in the next 10 laps that we will see him come down. So we'll see maybe a little bit of a cycle from Muhammad Alif, maybe taking a ways down from the lead. We may see a little bit of a fight between Camphor, Cummings, and Burton going for that lead spot by the time the cycle is done. We'll just have to wait and see. Just have to see later on in this race. Muhammad Alif kind of got some free air here, sitting with almost 3 seconds to Kel Davidson and Lucas Moody. You can almost certainly guarantee that Davidson and Moody are going to be working together just to get a little bit more of a gap between them. But let's take a look back here at Wyatt Burton working on the Jake Cummings car. You saw Wyatt Burton kind of spin out earlier in this race, so he's a little bit of a redemption drive right now. They're on the same strategy as of right now. They both pitted under that last safety car, so really it's pushing as much as he can on that Wyatt Burton machine, just to get every little ounce of power through that IndyCar onto those rear wheels. Really going to have to see a lot of fight coming out of him in the future laps ahead, going into 150, where we will see them start pitting again for that offset strategy for 2 different leads here. So we'll just see where Wyatt Burton is going on for the lap 25 as we are halfway in the 150 lap race. We're going to take a little bit of a break here halfway in the race, so don't go too far off. We'll be right back. A little bit of a racing at the
Welcome back to live coverage of the Support Community Schools 250 leaders pulling down pit road now. The cycle starts with R. Muhammad Alif and Josh Camphor going for a little bit of the undercut. We'll see how this works out for them. Cycles the lead over to Cale Davidson here past the halfway mark. Now Davidson, he led one lap. He's going to drop it down to pit road, keep it on 45 miles an hour, and bring that car in for fresh tires, full tank of gas, and see if he can't make the rest of this race on just one more pit stop. That should give the lead over to Wyatt Burton. Burton expected to pit probably not for another 16, 17 laps or so, so he'll have his opportunity here. I know he wants the strategy to work out, but what would really be golden right now is if a caution comes out, cycle that 26 car to the front. Wyatt Burton would be on that same strategy, so Burton's going to have, Jake Cummings on the same strategy as Wyatt Burton. Cummings going to have the opportunity to try to capitalize on that as well. So it'll be really interesting to watch here how this one cycles out. R. Muhammad Alif comes out of the pits pretty close to Brennan Lime, and that's going to be the battle for third. Alif completed an additional stop, but still finds himself inside the top 5.
Another car take it down to the pit lane. We see Aaron Gosler in the 30 machine in the 9th spot take it down pit road for a little bit of a fresh tire, fresh set of fuel. Look, Josh Camphor is dipping it down in the pit lane as well, and he is missing a wheel almost.
He's missing a front wing. Yeah, that car, heavy contact. This is going into turn number 1. Enters off the high side, and it looks to me like he gets a little too much rotation in the middle of the corner and overcorrects himself straight into the wall. We saw Nick Henley do the exact same thing at the beginning of the race. Luckily right here, not a yellow, but you can see that car straight to the wall. No steering input for Camphor, and that is going to be day done for the alumni from KSU. He does have a fast repair to use, but at this point he's already multiple laps down. So he's going to rejoin the racing surface. Looks like that is going to put him 2 laps off the pace. So we'll see if Camphor can salvage anything from this. Another one bites the dust. Seems to be the theme of the day. Corner exit been super tricky here at the Milwaukee Mile, but hasn't posed much of a challenge for Wyatt Burton, that is, at least since his spin, as he is leading now with 110 to go. And I'm seeing that long stop for Nick Henley as well. Looks like there was another incident for the driver of the 64. We documented how he's already burned through his fast repair. That car sitting on pit road, not sure exactly what the story is there, but if he has no opportunity to get that car fixed, could be day completely done for Nick Henley. So we're going to back it up and just try to see what happened. Right behind Josh Camphor. Looks like a regular stop for Henley. I don't see any damage on that car. Could be a situation where he's decided to call it quits. Now, this is a very long race length. The driver's looking at this a little bit like endurance on an oval, as that was Wyatt Burton nearly smacking the wall right there. Got really close to it on corner exit. Think able to keep the right side of his car clean for the moment. But Nick Henley has decided that he is going to drop out of this race. Good for Josh Camphor and everybody else who's decided to soldier on, but that could mean that Henley is our 3rd DNF of the day.
Kind of saying a little bit of endurance. It is an absolutely brutal track to run these Indy cars. You're not running it like any other track on the calendar. You're really running this kind of a split in an oval and a road course. You really just have to run this car rugged the entire way around. You don't get any breaks from start to finish on this race. You really just have to muscle the car around the entire track. So maybe it's just a little bit of a, I'm kind of too far back. I don't want to do too much. So I think I'm going to kind of park it for the day and just take a rest and prepare for tomorrow. There's no really true way to know exactly what's going through that war machine other than to talk to him directly. But if we can cut on to Wyatt Burton, you kind of see he's got 6 seconds straight on Jake Cummings in the 95 machine. He's just running away with it at the moment towards the end of his tire stint. He may kind of push it a little bit closer to 70 laps than 65. We kind of saw 65 was a little bit longer than what we had initially thought. We kind of thought we were going to be seeing more of a 60 to 62 lap stint on these cars, but we've already been proven wrong by running 65, even 66 laps on these tires and fuel. So maybe they do have some kind of secret strategy of putting it into some special fuel maps, using 8 different maps for fuel. You only really use map 8 under caution. So we may be kind of sitting in map 2 or 3 just to preserve that much more fuel, maybe make it a little bit closer to 70 laps. I mean, he's got 6 seconds, so he's got all the time in the world to think about what he wants to do with that car. 26 machine. But we take a look back here at the Lucas Moody machine. Seemed to pull in that gap down on Brennan Lyman. A little bit of difference of a pit stop strategy here, Cade. You kind of see the difference between 60 lap old tires and 15, and it's really prevalent here right now, more than halfway into this race here, running 2 wide, 3 and 4.
Yeah, pretty easy for Moody to get to the inside of Lyman. Lyman going to let him have it, although he did get the toe off of Camphor. Camphor a lap down here. Another guy who may lose a lap is Jake Cummings. He's decided to bring it in and make his pit stop. This could be scheduled stop for Cummings, pretty close to that pit window, although this is another lengthy stop from the driver of the 95. He's been on pit road for quite a while here. He was at the very beginning of his window. Pitting here would mean maybe getting to lap 200, as he is going to roll out of his box. Not sure what took so long or what happened, but Cummings able to roll out of the pits, and he is going to get back in this race. We'll see where he cycles out. I'd imagine he's going to want to hit around lap 200. Our Muhammad Alif, meanwhile, is going to want to pit probably somewhere around lap 190. So we're going to see these two strategies continuing to play out. Everybody with about 1 pit stop left to make, except for Wyatt Burton. He has a 10-second lead, but he'll still have to pit twice. So we'll see if there's an opportunity there to make that work to his advantage. Not coming in this time. Yes, he is. Stays low on the exit of 4 and pulls it down into the pit. So our Muhammad Alif is going to take the lead of this race once again. And this will, like I said, give everybody just about 1 more pit stop left in this race. And right now the biggest battle is going to be the battle for the lead. Our Muhammad Alif nearly 5 seconds on Cale Davidson. Less than 100 miles to go. Looks like Alif is 1 step closer to getting that first oval win. It appears that he's played the strategy right. We see Adrian Tupakovic peeling off the pit. Dylan Beatty made a pit stop as well. Those 2 cars fighting each other for position a couple of laps down.
I saw Dylan Beatty take that position off of Tupakovic. It's a very smart move on that pit strategy, as Tupakovic kind of dips it down for some fresh fuel and fresh tires. We'll see a little bit more of that car, but to the inside, we see the Ball State machine go against that Jake Cummings machine. We kind of see just not out of it yet. We see more fighting.
This is Jake Cummings trying to stay on the lead lap. We talked about that long pit stop. Whatever happened there looks like it's hampering the speed of the 95. Both of these cars on relatively new tires, but unfortunately, Cummings just does not have it, not able to stick with the 12. Alif able to pull away here, and Cummings, I think, is actually 2 laps down, because I think the first car -1 is Brennan Lyman, so that is Cummings. Has gone 2 laps down to race leader Muhammad Alif. If you really wanted to fight to keep that lap, you come back from 1 lap down, right, and get a wave around, a free pass, something. But 2 laps down, you've got to get lucky twice. It's really unlikely, especially with less than 100 laps to go. So Cummings really needed to keep that position, unable to do it. And that's going to drop the Converse University driver probably out of this one. Top 10 is still a solid result, but not what Jake was looking for.
Really not. He's really just trying to stay on that lead lap and get as much time as he can to get back in that fight that he was previously in with our Battle of the Jakes earlier in the race. But that does not seem to be the case, as he just going to fight with everything he has and leave Muhammad Alif Trying to leave him with a little bit more of a gap. But that just work out too much in his favor with Muhammad Ali being on brand new tires and just freshly back in the lead.
We do want to take a moment to thank you all for watching, and we do want to thank everybody who puts in a lot of hard work behind the scenes. All of our admins, all of our stewards, and everybody who works to make this possible. Got to give them our shout outs. We do got to shout out the University of Northwestern Ohio. Go to www.unoh.edu to get the know-how on performance engineering. If you are looking for some education in the fast-paced world of motorsports, the University of Northwestern Ohio has it for you. So you can go, again, to www.unoh.edu and check them out. They are one of our sponsors, and we are glad to have them sponsoring our replays here for this series and sponsoring Collegiate Sports Car Challenge. They'll be racing next Thursday at Magellan. We do also want to thank the Longland Corporation, Napa. If you need the Napa know-how for your car, truck, SUV, go get the Napa know-how at napaonline.com. I want to thank the Longland Corporation, and we do, of course, also want to thank Alex Gagnon and Support Community Schools. It's an initiative brought to us by Alex Gagnon, pairing up with this great initiative because education, of course, is the core value here at the Collegiate iRacing League. If you've never heard of community schools, they're basically what happens when you mobilize a greater community of people to help be active members and supports of youth education across the country. We utilize university resources, healthcare services, and nonprofit support to help alleviate problems such as hunger, sickness, and chronic absence to allow students to focus on what is important, which is achieving their full potential. To find out more, go to communityschools.org. That is communityschools.org. And we do want to give a shout out to Whiplash Sim Cams for providing us with the cams that we use and for giving their support to the Collegiate iRacing League as well. Would not be possible without all of these amazing benefactors and amazing supporters of the league. If you are interested in participating in, being a part of, or sponsoring the Collegiate iRacing League, you can check out our socials there in the description of this YouTube video. And of course, stay tuned, stay subscribed, and keep up with all of your CIL action. If you want the latest scoop on the standings, schedules, and broadcasts, head on over to collegiateiRacingLeague.com, where you can view the live standings for this series and all of our series, including the UM2 College Cup Series and the UNOH Collegiate Sports Car Challenge. So, as you can see, there's a very long list of people that all of this would not be possible without, but we are very glad to have each and every single one of them and each and every single one of you for making the CIL something that is very exciting and something that I personally very proud to be a part of, and I know a lot of people feel the same way. As we're getting into the latter stages of this one, Muhammad Ali looking at about another 20 green flag laps before he brings it down pit road. The lead has shrunk a little bit. It's gone from 5 seconds to just over 3. Back to teammate Cale Davidson. We've talked earlier about the long run speed of Cale Davidson, and we're also looking at Muhammad Ali have to work his way through lap traffic. He's getting around Adrian Tubakovic, about 5 or 6 laps down at this point, but still out there putting some laps together. And depending on how quickly Leaf can get through this, these are chunks of time that he could give up back to Davidson, right? You've got to be efficient. You've got to be effective getting around these lappers. And if you just can't do it, if Davidson does a little bit of a better job at managing traffic, that could be the way for Davidson to sneak himself back in this race. And like we've documented, both of them do have one more pit stop.
And one more pit stop indeed that we have left in this race. We kind of cut back here to... We're going to take a look here at Aaron Gosler and Stell Beasley here for a little bit of a lap battle between 8th place. Not too far. We have another car in the wake here.
I think that's our leader. I think that's Muhammad Ali going to put these guys 2 laps down. Able to get around Gosler here. Excuse me, they're going, I believe, -3. So Jake Cummings means 3 laps down as well for the driver of the 95. So Gosler's gone -3. Now the next one up is Beasley, currently -2. could be going 3 laps down as well. Look at the time that Gosler has lost as soon as he got in the wake of a Leaf. Just shut the air off of that number 30 car. Looks like he just wasn't able to push hard at all. He may be slipping back into the clutches of Jake Cummings here. We switch over to look at Wyatt Burton. Burton on much fresher tires, and the caution is out. Not entirely sure who this one is for. Definitely not Wyatt Burton. But there were only about 5 or 6 cars on the lead lap. I think Brennan Lyman's going to get the free pass. Not seeing any damaged cars, any spun cars. This might be one of those phantom yellows, Wesley. Or it may have been Adrian Tubakovic. Gets up, definitely gets into the wall. Cale Davidson looks like gets by with no trouble. And once again, Tubakovic in the wall, but able to maintain momentum. And
why that caution came out,
yeah,
doesn't look like anybody spun. It's just like maybe the race officials just kind of saw that and thought, maybe we should throw a little bit of a handicap.
No, I think Jake Cummings was not quite clear on corner exit. The 38 machine of Adrian Tubakovic did not emerge from the trees there. That's Jake Cummings trying to put a move on a lap car here. Oh, was not clear. Takes the left front wing off of Tubakovic and puts that car in the wall, folks. That is not a phantom caution. That is a car dead on track. That is a well-deserved yellow. And you can see the right front wheel was completely detached for the St. Clair machine. And I don't believe he still has a faster pair left, so that could be day done for Tubakovic. Very unfortunate. Yeah. Pretty close to the end of this one. An endurance race. The end was in sight. 75 laps. Just 75 miles from the end. Tubakovic likely not going to be able to see it through. So pitting here is going to make this one really interesting on fuel, folks. 76 laps to the end. If you pit here, you might be able to stretch it and make it happen. If you don't pit here, you're betting on everybody else running out. It's going to be a split decision, I think. We'll see who comes in, who stays out. Our Muhammad Alif not pitting, nobody pitting, and I would imagine the reason is they're going to come in next time by to get as full of fuel as they can. But this race has gone from pretty strung out. Some might call it a snooze fest, but now we're going to be on our edge of our seat seeing if they can make it. I'm being told that the longest single stint that we have seen on fuel is 70. When we take the green flag, it will be 73. So boys, you better test out your lift and coast, because if this race goes green to the end, you're not going to have another chance to save some fuel, and it will come down to a fuel game.
I heard me say it earlier in this race that it's all going to come down to fuel and tire usage versus just raw pace. Yes, pace does help a lot when you have 2 to 3 seconds between the car behind you, but when it comes to pit stops, it's all up to saving, all up to how far that you can make it.
And it doesn't look like anybody comes in a pit road, so they're all betting on making it one more stop. Nobody wants to save fuel. Everybody wants to go. We're back racing here at Milwaukee. Our Muhammad Alif gets the jump on the field. I don't think they pit there. They may have come in while we were looking at a replay of Tubakovic. Not sure. We'll check back with you on that. But if they did not pit, then it's still one pit stop to go. And through all of that, Wyatt Burton has cycled his way up to the 3rd spot. Now he's looking for 2nd on Lucas Moody.
Second may just be what he gets as he tries to dive to that inside, but it does not work. He's just a little bit too far off of that car ahead of him, of Jake Dick, the 22 machine. Jake Dick has really fought his way up again, moving his way back into that 2nd spot. You kind of saw him a little bit earlier in the battle of Jakes between Jake Dick and Jake Cummings. He's moved all the way up from 9th position to 2nd now, provisional as the moment, as he is fighting Wyatt Burton to keep as much time and distance as he can. But our Muhammad Alif is just going to run away with it with over 0.8 of a second already, and we are only 2 laps out of that caution.
Sorry about that. That is Jake Dick there in the 2nd spot. Our Muhammad Alif has just set the fastest lap of the race, so able to heat cycle those tires, do something to them, and get some grip back in that car. Put some distance on these two. Jake Dick and Wyatt Burton going at it, but Burton gets a really good run off the bottom there. Usually we see the top side carry momentum, but that time by Burton got the run. Is he going to pull the slide job here? Looks like he is. He gets up, but Dick is able to get the crossover. They're side by side, dead even down the back straightaway. Now it's going to be the 22's turn to throw it into turn 3. If he can slide up and take the air away from the 26, he'll keep Wyatt Burton at bay. And for the moment, it's still BSU running 1-2, but the driver from Trine looks to break that up as he goes back to the bottom, clear by a couple of car lengths. But this is where Jacob Dick has been really good. Once again, the over-under on corner exit. Once again, draws alongside, and he's going to try to get him here again. But Wyatt Burton is not going to give up. I think right there, Jake Dick had to pedal just a little bit to keep it out of the wall. And Burton's going to have another look to the bottom. If he can get there and be clear, will he be able to shut the air off and maintain it this time? Looks like he does. I think Jake Dick rotated to the bottom just a little bit too early. Now Burton moves low to break the draft and take the bottom on the inside of 3. And it looks like the pass is completed, but Jake Dick is going to get a really big run off the outside here. If he can wind that car up and get the toe, he'll be able to stay close. But close and no cigar. Wyatt Burton up to the second spot, and he now has 2 seconds to try to track down our Muhammad Alif.
That fighting you saw these cars do has just been detrimental to that gap between our Muhammad Alif. We saw that gap go from almost 0.8 to a second, and now almost 2.25 seconds between Burton and Alif. All that fighting going back and forth between 1 and 2 for Burton and 3 and 4 for Dick really just raised that gap to 2 seconds and 0.3 of a gap between cars. That is going to be way up to Wyatt Burton to claw back every thousandth of a second back, as he is just flying on these laps, trying to put as much time between him and that Jake Dick so that he doesn't have to fight again. That may have been a little bit of a strategy play between the Ball State cars, just to get Jake Dick to put as much of a gap between the two. Just let Muhammad Alif run as far away as he can. He's been kind of seeing that Wyatt Burton car in his mirror all race long. The strategy may be just to put as much time as he can and maybe start thinking about saving a little bit of fuel, a little bit of a tire, and maybe make a little last second push in the last closing laps of this race. We'll just have to see what happens later on in this race as we see that Wyatt Burton car just dip it down a little low below that white line and onto that yellow strip. So he is just pushing the absolute heck out of that car, just get every little piece of time through it. Just to close down that gap. He's already closed it down from 2 seconds and 0.3 all the way down to 2 seconds flat now. So maybe that strat of just him pushing is really going to help with our Muhammad Alif just kind of saving time here and just saving that fuel and tire while Wyatt Burton is doing nothing but burning it. We'll just have to see what happens in the closing laps of this race, but right now we are 188 out of 250 in this absolutely amazing race here at the Milwaukee Mile.
And something interesting to think about is remember to that first stint, Davidson and Burton ran down Alif at the very end. It took them about 60 laps, but they did get to the pole center eventually. But something that they had on their side was lap traffic. We have a few cars knocked out of this race. There's only 10 cars left, only 5 cars left on the lead lap. As Jake Dick is bringing it down pit road, there's 60 laps to go in this one. I think this is his final stop. Everybody decided that they were going to stay out on the last yellow. They did not want to try to stretch it to 74. So this is the last pit lap. Yes, Jake Dick on pit road here. There were some people that pitted on that last yellow. I don't understand what the strategy is right now. I do apologize. So Cale Davidson, Lucas Moody, Brennan Lyman were trying to stretch it. Meanwhile, our Muhammad Alif, Jake Dick, and Wyatt Burton are trying to make one pit stop. Jake Dick has already made that one pit stop, so he'll cycle out and go. Alif and Burton are expected on pit road here in just a few laps. That'll cycle the lead over to Davidson and Moody, so those drivers will either be able to make it to the end of the race or they will need a splash and dash to try to get to the end. It's going to be really, really close, but the playbook is open for both Davidson, Moody. Brennan Lyman has himself that he could run as high as third here, although I believe that 78 car is not on the lead lap. A big gap between Moody and Lyman. So Lyman right now really just trying to hang on to the free pass spot, and he can help himself by running as long as he can. Same story for Stell Beasley. Jake Dick, meanwhile, already made that stop. He's going to be looking to make hay here for these last 57 laps, already ahead of Brennan Lyman.
You kind of see we're already 60 laps onto that R. Muhammad Alif machine. On 194, he last pit at 133 with Jake Dick making a move on Brennan. Looks like he's going to retain that position on that 78 machine, but not too far. As he moves to the outside of 3 and 4. He's been really strong on that lane there in 3 and 4 all night long. Kind of saw him fight against that Wyatt Burton around the outside for so long, before eventually getting beat out by Wyatt Burton's raw pace. Side by side going into 3 and 4. Does he get the position? Yes, he does. But will Brennan Lyman make the switch over and get that crossover just like we've seen between Wyatt Burton and Jake Dick? Looks like not. He kind of backs out of it and gives Jake Dick that position. Just a little bit of a fight. And never mind, he takes the move downside.
Yeah, Brennan Lyman fires it into the corner, but wasn't quite able to make it stick. Washed up just a little bit. You've got to think there's about a 20-lap tire difference between those two cars. Of course, Jake Dick's going to have a little bit more grip, and it surprised me that Lyman was fighting as hard as he did. Lyman, one of those guys who was in with 75 laps to go in this race. The potential to stretch it all the way, but the potential also to split this stint in half. He can short pit, he can long pit, he can really do whatever he wants. But the only thing that would limit his options is fighting really hard right there, and that is what he decided to do. So, interesting play from the driver of the 78. We'll see if they decide to come in. Meanwhile, you look at that number. We talk so much about tires, but 133 laps. You can only get to about the lap 200 mark on gas, which means I would expect our Muhammad Alif in any minute here. And Wyatt Burton, that gap stabilized at about 2.3. He'll have to pit sometime in the next 20 laps as well. Still Beasley on pit road. That's going to be the strategy call. Should be the last stop for the Delaware driver. As our Muhammad Alif peels off pit road, is able to make pit road speed. Once again, the lead will get handed over to Wyatt Burton. Alif boxing for the final time in this race with 51 laps to go. So we'll see where our Muhammad Alif cycles out. Wyatt Burton, we know, has to make another stop. Likely that Davidson and Moody will need a splash and dash at some point, but the possibility exists. I'm looking at the gap that Moody has left up to Davidson, and I know that 13 car has some pace. It is certainly possible that he is trying the lift and coast, put it in map 4 and see what happens. Lucas Moody looking for his second win of the season. As we can hop on board. He is in 6th gear all the way around. Lucas Moody is trying one of the most insane strategies in FC history. I think the problem with this one is, even if he's able to save enough gas to make it all the way to the end of the race, he's going to give up so much pace to our Muhammad Alif that he's just not going to maintain the position. Going to be really interesting to see how this goes. Something else that could happen is a caution right now would force our Muhammad Alif to take the free pass, would give the top 3 an opportunity to pit. We wave around a couple of other cars that would get Dick and Lyman back on the lead lap as well. As you can see, Moody just going to let Burton go, so Moody actually goes a lap down. If the caution comes out now, he's in perfect position because he can take the free pass, and the yellow does come out. Free pass to Lucas Moody. Oh, that is 2 dead cars. That car was parked on the safer barrier. Big wreck in the exit of turn 4 with 2 of the few cars that we have left in this race. I think this is going to drag the rest of the field to pit road, and Jake Cummings' car destroyed. Not been a good day for Converse. We're going to see a replay here. Looks like he gets hit from behind and run over. Brennan Lyman treats him like a ramp and finds some catch fence here. So we'll see what happened. This is taking a look at Jake Cummings. Behind them, that's Stell Beasley, Brennan Lyman. Beasley gets into the left rear of Cummings, leaves Lyman with nowhere to go. And a barrel roll out of Brennan Lyman is not what he wanted to be doing. I think the driver of the 78 still has a fast repair. Not sure about Cummings, but this is going to be big damage, I'd imagine, for all 3 of those cars. Yeah, just nowhere for Lyman to go. Riding along with Stell. We're going to see what the Delaware driver sees going into the corner. That's an interesting one there. Drives it in really deep. Got the car to stick. Didn't look like it was sliding up the track or anything. And Beasley was a few laps ahead of Jake, I believe. So right here, we should see Davidson and Burton pit, and we do. Burton is in, Davidson in as well. That's going to give the free pass to Lucas Moody. It's also going to wave around that other group of guys. So unfortunately, we saw nobody on that super fuel save strategy. I thought it would be really funny to see if somebody could pull it off, but alas, Moody, I believe, going to be in the pits here, so he'll be all the way around the rear of the field, but he'll be ahead of Muhammad Alif. Alif has to cycle around, taking the wave around. You can see right now at the front of the field, 1 lap down to the safety truck. They'll let him by and wave that car around to the rear of the field, so not only will he be in the 5th position on track, but he will also have to work his way through all of the lap traffic. We've seen the 12 car be really, really good, but that's been in clean air, and it hasn't been with the race on the line. Moody is in, so he's going to get fresh tires and fuel. That's another thing to think about, too. Burton and Davidson are going to have fresh rubber here. It's going to be a battle between those two. I think all the way to the end, Moody, Dick, and Alif might be left to fight it out for the final spot on the podium. Deemed a racing incident, the 95 came down, the 70 sent it into the corner. So no penalty to either of those two drivers, but the penalty of the damage was enough to likely end the day for Jake Cummings.
But the day is not over with about 43 laps to go. Where we're fixing to go green with Wyatt Burton leading. Dale Davidson, we didn't see any more stops here. We're just going to have some green laps here. Aid, if you want to lead us off here.
Yeah, getting ready to take the green. This is going to be a sprint to the end compared to what we've seen thus far today. Already over 200 miles in the books in what's been a test of endurance. It's Burton, Davidson, the top two. As they hit the line, we are green flag racing once again in Milwaukee. Muhammad Alif already looking to make up time, gets around a couple of lap cars, but he sees 3 wide in front of him. That's Davidson, Beatty, couple other cars involved. That is Gosler. Alif's already gotten around Camphor, 3 wide here. Beasley backing out, giving the spot to Lyman. Lyman's taking a fast repair, got himself in this one. Back up front, Burton trying to check out as Beatty looks to the inside of Gosler. Side by side, you see Alif just set the purple lap. He's got himself up to 3rd on track position, but he's got to get around his teammates before he can get to Wyatt Burton.
Pushing is all we will see him do as we see another car sneak up his way inside on that behind him, that purple car. Let's see Camphor making his way back into fight a couple of laps down, but we are going to see 2 wide, about 3 cars back, almost 3 wide here on the front straight.
Yep, they are going to go 3. Jacob Dick sends it to the bottom of Josh Camphor. 4 wide for a moment. Brennan Lyman looking on the top side, has to back off. That was not going to work on corner exit if he tried to put the nose in there. Is he going to try to get to the outside of Gosler this time? No, he's not. Camphor moves down to the bottom. Head full of steam for Lyman. I believe that car fresh tires, but unfortunately not on the lead lap. There are some battles for position here. Lyman, Gosler, they're a lap apart, so that one doesn't matter too much. But Beasley and Camphor, they're fighting for 6th. 2 laps down and in 6th. That's insane. I can't believe we're seeing that. But back up front, the gap that really matters is 5/10 as Lyman looks like he's going to pull it off. Possibly his day done. Jake Cummings, his day done as well. Back up front, Burton, 6/10 back to Davidson. Then it's another full second back to Alif. We saw Alif set the fastest lap of the race, but then Davidson strung together some flyers and got a little bit of the draft, so that keeps Davidson well ahead of Alif. It's a half second between the top 2 as we look here. 2 more BSU drivers. They have 4 of the top 5, but they do not have that all-important first spot. This battle here for the 4th spot, Jake Dick, Lucas Moody. Now it's going to be Moody to the inside of Dick, trying to work that bottom shortest way around. If he can get clear on exit, the spot will be his, but he can't get clear. Momentum to Dick on the top side. The 22 hangs on to P4 for the moment. He's going to make this pass really hard on Lucas Moody. I think he scrapes the wall a little bit, though. He does. And there's a car dead on the inside on the front straightaway. Caution is out once again. This brings a Leaf right back into it, and Cummings had come back out on track, was just trying to turn some laps, and the terrible, no good, very bad day goes worse for Jake Cummings. Excuse me, different purple car. That's Brennan Lyman. Enters the corner super low. He was trying to get to pit road. We see him here. This is Brennan Lyman. There was a car destroyed on the front straightaway. I think it was Cummings. But we'll have to take a look at whatever exactly that was. While we do try to find that, we'll re-rack the field here. Burton able to maintain the lead, but his half-second lead gets erased. So Cale Davidson right on his gearbox, and R. Muhammad Alif back in this one as well. As the track has changed a little bit, as it's rubbered up just a hair, Alif has gotten better. It feels like he knows exactly the line. He knows exactly how to make lap time, but he now starting behind those other two. That's going to make this a really good race, as somewhere in there, Jake Cummings was sitting backwards. We ride on board with Jake Cummings here, still trying to find this most recent incident. Yellow coming out with just 37 laps to go here at Milwaukee. As, yeah, that is the same incident involving Brennan Lyman. Contact behind with the 70 car, so we're not sure who this one was for. Looks like, oh, it was a netcode incident between Lyman and Cale Davidson. As Davidson was trying to get around the 78 car, there was some sort of netcode incident that put one of them into the inside wall. Davidson's car looks okay. There is Brennan Lyman. The purple car that I was talking about was, in fact, the OPSU machine. Isn't even a purple car. I guess I just need a new prescription. But he had come out of pit road between the two leaders and was trying to get out of the way, then finds himself running side by side with Davidson. Davidson probably none too happy with that. Lyman already about 4 laps down at this point. And as they come off the corner, Davidson, yeah, that's a netcode incident for sure. Davidson pushed that car off the corner, got really close to the 78, and unfortunately iRacing decided that it did not like that, and it picked Lyman's car up through to the inside wall, told him to take it to the garage. Really not a whole lot of fairness from the iRacing service, but unfortunately that's a pretty common issue with the IR18 IndyCar. Hopefully it gets fixed soon, but we're just left to deal with it as it is. Luckily no major damage to the car of Cale Davidson. Hopefully he'll live to fight another day. Trying to get those tires as warm as they can for just a 31 lap sprint when we take the green. So I think these are the 3 best cars all day. If it's a green flag run to the end, if it winds up being a sprint to the end, either way, we are in for a treat. Wyatt Burton, Cale Davidson trying to get it done for the first time this season. R. Muhammad Alif trying to get it done for the first time on an oval. And don't count out Lucas Moody. Green flag back in the air here at Milwaukee. And immediately Dylan Beatty gets out of the way. He wants to let these lead lap cars fight it out amongst themselves. And immediately Alif to the bottom. Looking to the inside of Davidson. It's BSU on BSU. The Cardinals going at it. Alif to the bottom. If he can try to hook that yellow line, he'll get momentum. But he gets in the dirty air from the 26 of Wyatt Burton. He's going to have to slide up behind Davidson, get the draft. Now 30 laps to go. Time ticking down. This time Alif tries the outside line.
It seemed like that outside line did kind of work for him a little bit there in then 1 and 2. We'll see if he does it again here in 3 and 4. Move a little bit to the outside. There he goes, and he gets the move done. But it is Cale Davidson back up the inside for that crossover coming out of 3 and 4 just to retain that second position. With Lucas Moody moving towards the inside on R. Muhammad Alif. Maybe a little bit of a last-minute step in just to say, I want this win instead of you. It is a Ball State through 4 fight just for that second place, just to get a chance at Wyatt Burton. But that is giving Wyatt Burton all the chance he needs, over 8.5 tenths away from these Ball State cars that are all fighting each other here for that second spot.
Yeah, as they fight each other and take each other's air away, that just gives advantage to Burton. It's now over a 1 second lead Ball State actually second through fifth. You can't count out Jake Dick. He's got a top 5. He's on the lead lap. He could get himself in this battle, but for the moment, the biggest battle on track is Alif against Moody. I think Alif may have got a lot of heat in those tires on the short run. Burton has just put together the fastest lap of the day with no drafting help. As the track starts to cool, Burton getting really good runs. It's still a full second this time by. It'll be just 26 laps to go, and Mr. Excitement is 26 miles from getting it done for the first time today. Cale Davidson, though, has gotten single file. He's put a full second back to R. Muhammad Alif, and he has his sights set on that blue gearbox for the Trine University IR18.
After that Trine University, it's going to have to be Cale Davidson that R. Muhammad Alif has to chase down if he wants that first win around an oval. But that don't count out Lucas Moody, because he is right on the gearbox of R. Muhammad Alif, trying to fight as he shoots to the inside of R. Muhammad Alif. With Cale Davidson setting the now fastest lap, putting that Ball State machine. It looks like he's trying to catch back in and get that 9.5 minutes, and now a second down. Minuscule thousandths. It's going to matter between in the closing laps of this race, as we're looking at R. Muhammad Alif and that fight between Lucas Moody. Lucas Moody does not shoot to the inside this time, just giving R. Muhammad Alif that inside line again. Just with a little bit of a run through 1 and 2 for the Ball State machines, but we are going to see a little bit more of a fight from these Ball State, going from Cale Davidson all the way back to Jake Dick. From Jake Dick starting in 9th position, now sitting in P5. We may see a little bit of a closer fight if he can reel his way back into this fight with Lucas Moody and R. Muhammad Alif. If he does, this will be a 4-way fight for second place, and that would be one heck of a watch, don't you think, Cade?
Yeah, it would be fantastic, but he's got to get it together now and start bringing in some lap time. 2.5 seconds between Moody and Dick. It's now over a second between Davidson and Alif. R. Muhammad Alif has essentially dominated this race, had the strategy nailed until he pit just a little bit too early, found himself on one end when he needed to be on the other, and unfortunately, I think on that restart, he pushed just a little bit too hard, couldn't get the move done on Davidson, and that car just does not want to handle for him. Earlier, the gap was 1.1. It's now under 0.8 of a second between Burton and Davidson. If Davidson can get the draft on the straightaways and stay out of the dirty air in the corners, he may have the car to hunt down Burton. 20 laps to go. I know the fans are cheering for Burton. It's going to be one nail-biter of a finish. The gap 0.8 of a second at the line. 20 miles to go here in Milwaukee.
That gap starts shrinking, minuscule and minuscule. Goes from almost 0.8 now down to 6. He is just moving and flying with that Ball State machine, trying to track down that Trine University car. It seems to be working. That number 2 is on some flyer laps on that fresh feeling tires, Cade. It is a wonder how he is getting all that time out of almost the same exact chassis of these cars that run.
Yeah, I think the big difference there is how hard Burton pushed on the short run this time by. It's 0.67 at the line. It's one thing to catch him, it's another thing to pass him, but I think here at the rate Davidson is bringing him in, he's going to have quite a few laps to set up the pass. Once again, that's Lucas Moody sneaking by for the 3rd spot, got the pass done on Alif. Those two are also gaining on Wyatt Burton. The difference that I was going to say is he pushed super hard on the short run, really hurt those tires. The gap is under half a second now. We have 2 great battles going on, one for first, one for third. It's Burton versus Ball State University. Alif gets the 3rd spot back, as back up front, Burton put together a good set of corners. He's got to keep the temperature out of those front tires, save a little bit for this fight to the end, but it's hard to do that when you've got Cale Davidson breathing down your neck.
100%, as he's just pushing that car to the absolute limit, getting a little bit of that dirty air. Seems to be helping, in matter of fact, pushing it all the way down to the bottom. 3 and 4. Wyatt Burton's just pushing with everything he's got now with what's left after making that huge run to get away from the main pack here for the top 5. Seems that with 15 laps to go in this 250 lap race, it looks like Wyatt Burton has the reins on it. R. Muhammad Alif has controlled it the entire night. It is up to Burton to bring it home with a win, with Cale Davidson right on his gearbox and closing now with 4.5 tenths between them and slowly closing.
We know both of these two drivers are hungry. Not a huge fight for either of them in the overall. They just want this race win. Coming off of the corner now, when they hit the stripe, it's going to be the unlucky number 13 laps to go, but the lead has stabilized just a little bit. Davidson not eating into Burton's lead so much. As he gets closer, he's finding more of that aero wash. You can see that car really wanted to track towards the wall on corner exit. I don't know if he is going to have a whole lot of time once he gets there. If he can continue to close that gap down, he'll maybe have a couple of corners, but Davidson has got to get there quickly in order to have time to set up this pass. We've seen how difficult passing has been. You can defend on the top, you can defend on the bottom. If Davidson doesn't get there with enough time, he's not going to be able to set that pass up, so the pressure is on for both of these drivers. Meanwhile, if you're Wyatt Burton, you can't get looking in the mirror. You can't make a mental mistake. You've just got to be focused forward, hit your marks here. The gap now up to 0.6 of a second. Whatever he's doing seems to be working. Cale Davidson, if you're in that position, you cannot look at your relative. You cannot look at that growing gap. Exact same thing. Look out the windshield, look through that halo, and put your lap time together. Just 10 laps to go. I think Burton, a little bit of a mistake there in the middle of 3 and 4. The gap down to half a second once again. Davidson drawing ever closer here this time by. It's just 9 to go. And as he gets closer, he's going to have to be a little bit more deliberate about his lane choice here. Burton, a really good job of getting back to the yellow line on corner exit. Once again, Davidson forced to track towards the wall, just loses a little bit of grip, loses a little bit of front downforce. He got a really good run out of the corner, though, despite that, and was able to bring it down. What he hasn't been able to do is replicate that in 3 and 4. He's able to get a good run down the back straightaway, but he doesn't carry a whole lot of speed down the front stretch. So it's kind of better at one end, worse at the other. It averages out. That's why the gap has stayed the same. Davidson no longer reeling in Burton. He's going to have to maybe try something a little bit different here. Just 7 laps, 7/10. You need a 10th a lap. That's a tall task, especially as hard as Davidson's already been pushing. And nearly into the wall there. Looks like, sorry, Wesley, he had to pedal that car to keep it out, but it did give him a good run. That same thing down the back straightaway. Car wants to step out, but he's able to keep it in the throttle.
100%, but don't count out Muhammad Ali. He may be 2.5 seconds back, but he is slowly closing. A one mistake from either car could see the Muhammad Ali go from 3rd all the way into 2nd, or even 1st. Gap starting to grow just a little bit more and shrinking. It does seem to be they just kind of average out. Burton kind of a lot better in that 1 to 2, but Cale Davidson a little bit better out of 3 and 4. It just seems to be if Cale Davidson can pull something together with maybe a little special lap and get the fastest lap once again, he may be looking right at the nose of Wyatt Burton. But with 5 to go and 7.5 tenths left between the two cars, it is going to be one heck of a fight for those tires to hold on for this car.
Once again, the gap is growing. Burton's been able to bring it out, and Davidson may find himself dealing with Muhammad Ali. A little bit of lap traffic, though. One car ahead shouldn't be too much of a factor. Hopefully, just kind of gets out of the way and lets the leaders go. That's exactly what's going to happen. No dirty air there. Does hamper Davidson a little bit on corner exit. That was a really sketchy moment. But luckily they're able to keep it together now. Just 3 laps to go. Wyatt Burton has nearly a full second on Davidson. He's got nearly 3 full seconds on Muhammad Ali. Now I think the mentality switches a little bit. It goes from putting together perfect laps to not making a mistake. You can't afford to do it. 2 laps, 2 miles away from his first win of the season. Wyatt Burton trying to get it done at Milwaukee. Perfect through 1 and 2. He's got 6 more corners. Davidson is a little bit distant in the mirror now. That white car has faded. It got awful close a few laps ago, but it's a little bit of a blip in the mirror. 1 lap to go, presented by the Longland Corporation. Get the Napa know-how, and you too can be a CIL race winner just like Wyatt Burton. He's looking for his 3rd career victory, his 3rd career win on the oval. Coming through turn 3 and 4. If he can be mistake-free here, it's a spin and win at Milwaukee, and it's a special day for Wyatt Burton. The driver from Trine is going to get it done. Mr. Excitement. excitement back to victory lane by a full second over Cale Davidson.
What a drive for that driver from the Trine University machine. Pulled it from the second position on back of the start of the grid, pulling into a win. That is one heck of a drive. We saw an absolute roller coaster. Drivers changing for the lead. 5 laps go. We saw just a lot of a difference here between the first and second place car. We saw the gap go from 4/10 to over a second almost. It is one heck of a drive from that Trine University.
And you said it, it was a fight all day long. Now doing some well-deserved burnouts, had to drive through the entire field a couple of times, but played his cards right, had the right strategy, and had the right speed. So we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be able to interview your podium, and we will be able to talk to those drivers, get their thoughts about this race. So don't go away. Stick around for the end of the broadcast for the Support Community Schools 250. Welcome back, everybody, to post-race for the Support Community Schools 250 at the Milwaukee Mile. A fantastic race. Our highest finishing alumni, Josh Camphor from Kansas State, brings it home in the 6th position. He's standing by with Wesley Shaw.
Hey there, Josh. You got a mic?
I do. How's it going?
Oh, that's perfect, man. That was one heck of a race you ran. Finishing 6th overall, but 1st in alumni. How do you feel about that win, man?
I feel pretty good. I wish I would have had a little bit better run through the middle. I messed myself up coming through turn 2. I hit the apron, or hit that little curb there, wiped myself out. But aside from that, it was a pretty good race.
That it was. What was your strategy going into the race initially, and how did that change about halfway through when we saw about 3 or 4 cautions?
My strategy initially was just, keeping my nose clean, making sure that I still had a car to finish the race with, and not getting in anyone's way from the lead lap cars. But it changed a little bit, like you said, halfway through, because all the cautions kind of shook things up, and I was able to get lucky with the lucky dog, and I was just able to continue pushing and keep advancing my position.
And just one more question for you, Josh Camphor. I know it's Halloween tomorrow. Is there anyone you want to thank, anyone you want to shout out to on this wonderful night and dedicate this win to?
Big shout out to K-State for letting me race for them and do everything that I do for them. They've been awesome the last couple of years, getting everything set up for the collegiate program at K-State.
Right, and that was Josh Camphor, the driver from the Kansas State University car, and your alumni winner for the Support Community Schools 2. We're going to give it back over to Mr. Cade Corbin, who's going to interview another of our top 3 finishers.
That's right. We're going to talk to the other winner from the day, the student winner and the overall winner. Congratulations, race winner Wyatt Burton for the first time this season. How you feeling?
I feel good. I survived a race and managed to come back after a couple incidents.
Yeah, we saw the spin. It was it looked really rough back in traffic in there. Talk to me about the length of this race and if this one means anything different, because it was such a fight from the beginning to the end.
It was definitely physical. My shoulders, I had my force feedback running way too high. I'm definitely a little sweaty right now, but yeah, we spun on our own there. I was actually getting on the radio to thank Nick for letting me by. I probably should have waited until I was through the corner. As soon as I got on the button, I just lost it, so that was awesome. And then yeah, we just managed to keep a good strategy and fight our way up to the front. And then I'm not sure if that last caution would have helped or hurt me, because I was gonna have a tire advantage. But either way, we were running top 3 and we were able to get it done in the end, so that's what matters.
You've talked to me a little bit before the race, kind of throughout the season, of not necessarily looking at the standings. You're looking for wins. You finally got one tonight. Congratulations. Does this change the mentality at all going forward, or are you still just trophy hunting?
Not at all. I'm out of the championship, so I'm just going to go for it.
I can respect that. Well, you've got a lot of fans here in the chat. By far, probably the name that's been shouted out the most here on our live stream. So is there anything you want to say to them? Anybody you want to shout out? Anything at all? You get the floor. You are the CIL race winner.
Yeah, I want to say thanks to everyone watching, and I just want to say please bring FC back for next season. It's so much fun. We just need some more people to run.
Well, there you have it. There is your race winner, Wyatt Burton, once again winning the Support Community Schools 250. Thanks for talking to us, Wyatt. Hopefully you'll be up here next week.
Sounds good. Thank you, guys.
Wyatt also on the podium last week at Barber. So now we're going to bring it down second rung on the podium with our Cale Davidson, driver from Ball State, came up just one spot short. He's with Wesley Shaw.
Hi.
Hey, Cale, you got a copy?
Hey, Cale, how you doing?
Good.
Cale, you ended up in second place. You started third. That was one heck of a drive, man. How'd you feel going through that?
The whole race, it was kind of weird on when I should pit, when I shouldn't. And then also with Wyatt being on that off strategy, there wasn't a whole lot that I could predict because I wasn't watching his strategy that much. But my dad and I talked about, oh, let's go undercut everybody. And then it seemed like the overcut was just stronger. And I mean, the last couple laps, there was just nothing I could throw at Wyatt. I could get within half a second of him, but I was pushing way too hard, and I was going to put the car in the wall if I wanted to even get to like 4/10. So I'll take it.
Yeah, that was one heck of a drive, man. We saw all night long you battling left and right. It was one heck of a fight that you put up. At what point did you think, how far can I push this car to pull home either second place or win?
I mean, honestly, from probably the second to last caution, when Alif went to make his final pit stop, and that's when I kind of was like, okay, I can win this, because I knew Wyatt was less down on fuel, and Alif just went in, and I knew I was lapping him, and as soon as I lapped him out of the pits, I was like, if there's a yellow out, bam, like Alif gets into the back, and it's like just up to me and Wyatt, which is exactly what happened, and that's when I thought I had a chance, but then Alif sent it on the inside. But I mean, we were talking during the yellow. We said let's battle. Like, we just wanted to have some fun. We weren't gonna try to play any team orders. We just said everything goes, just leave a little bit of space, and that's what we did.
Y'all did. That was one heck of a fight we saw between y'all, and then you started pulling a lot of time back. You got almost 3 to 4 tenths off of him. But to end off the night, Mr. Cale Davidson, is there anybody you want to shout out? Anybody you want to thank for pulling that second place home?
Yeah,
and on the night before Halloween.
Yeah, definitely want to shout out our esports directors, Dan and BK, because I finally got a new PC that hasn't crashed. So that's about the first time in 7 weeks I haven't had a crash out just from a PC issue. But then my mom, my dad, all my teammates, so Lucas, Alif, and then Jake and Dylan, and then Bradley, because I miss him. And then my mom, my dad, and then my girlfriend, Sylvia.
All right. Well, that was Cale Davidson, the second place finisher of the Collegiate iRacing League Formula College Cup Series here. I'm going to give it back over to Mr. Cade Corbin, who's going to interview our third place, Mr. R. Muhammad Alif.
Yeah, bringing up the final rung on the podium. It was a really good day for Ball State University, but just couldn't quite finish it off. I know you got put behind on strategy there a little bit, Alif. Do you think there was anything else you could have done to get some time back and maybe have something for Wyatt at the end?
Because, I mean, battling at the start and with lap cars, I think, overheated my right front. And then I think on iRacing, once you overheat it, it's almost impossible to bring it back down. So yeah, I think just another race where I think we had the win in the bag, but the strategy hindering us. But yeah, we'll keep trying.
So yeah, you talk about it there. You definitely had good pace, led an absolute ton of laps today, but it just seems like these oval races, they get snatched away there at the end. But does that give you a little bit more confidence knowing, and you've got one more chance this season at Kansas, and are you going to go into that race with that momentum, knowing you have the pace, and you're really just maybe one step away from finally getting that win?
Yeah, I mean, I've won ovals before in NASCAR, so I know what it takes. It's just, yeah, strategy always playing a huge factor, but there'll be one day where I guess strategy plays in my factor and I get the win. So, but I mean, today's Wyatt's day. I think he deserved the win, obviously. Yeah, put up a good fight and yeah, got the win.
Well, hopefully that luck will turn around. Eventually, it will be our Muhammad Alif's turn to see victory lane on an oval, though definitely no stranger to talking to us up here in the booth. So, of course, the custom as it is. Fun to watch. Hopefully, we'll talk to you next week. And before you go, anybody you want to shout out?
Yeah, my whole Ball State team. I think Cale for returning back to the podium. So good run from him. The whole road team, oval team, and our esports directors, BK and Dan. Oh, sorry, Dan and BK. And yeah, and my family back home.
All right. Well, thank you very much for coming up to talk to us. Good luck next week in Magello.
Thank you. See you guys.
Always good to talk to R. Muhammad Alif, and you can really see the work that he's put in on that BSU program. If we take a look at the complete final rundown, we will see a lot of Ball State drivers near the front of that grid. Of course, the race was won by the driver from Trine University, but if we can pull those results up here, we should see a lot of Ball State. Yeah, Cale Davidson, P2 from BSU. R. Muhammad Alif, of course, from Ball State. Lucas Moody, Ball State. Jake Dick, Ball State. You see Dylan Beatty there, grabs a top 10 for Ball State as well in the 9th spot. Of course, Josh Kampfer, your alumni winner, was looking for the opportunity to try to get back on the lead lap. Unfortunately, stuck one lap down. Career best finish for Delaware's Stell Beasley. Winds up in the 7th spot. Aaron Gosler, P8, another top 10 for that car. And rounding out the top 10, Brennan Lyman from OPSU.
Taking a look back here at the non-finishers, we only had about 10 finishers tonight, with the 11th spot going to Jake Cummings, a very strong car, but just did not have drive to finish tonight. Just some bad luck coming from him. Finishing in the 12th spot, going to be from St. Clair College, going to be Adrian Tubakovic, finishing 86 laps down, with Nick Henley in the 64 machine from Ball State, Nick Stockner in 14th from Clemson University, and Keegan Kallick finishing out our 15 drivers from St. Clair.
So there you have it, the final rundown from tonight's race. It was a test of endurance, tire management, short track racing, everything. We're going to see something completely different, but no less exciting next week. Hopefully you'll join us for round number 10 of the season at the Magello Circuit. That'll be right here on this YouTube channel, 8:45 Eastern, 7:45 for all of us folks here in the Central Time. That is on November 6th, but if you want to get your CIL fix before then, next Monday at Kentucky, the Yum 2 College Cup Series is going to be racing on Monday here. That broadcast will start at 8:45 Eastern on November the 3rd. And then on November the 5th, the UNOH Collegiate Sports Car Challenge is also going to head to Magello for the first part of the doubleheader. That'll be on Wednesday, November 5th, and that broadcast will start at 8:45 Eastern, 7:45 Central as well. So from all of us here at the CIL, all of our stewards, admins, production team, and everybody else who works behind the scenes to make this possible, thank you all for watching. We hope that you enjoyed the Support Community Schools 250 presented by the Coalition for Community Schools. Thank you all for watching, and have a fantastic evening.